antidote. Gods convene, truth unseen. Demigods whisper, lost souls scream. Follow the path or drown in the stream. Zeus' wrath, a cruel dream. Strings of torment echo loud. Lost in sulfur, desperate, proud. Zeus watches from Olympus' cloud. Rejected truth, their fates avowed.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning.
No way back. Lost souls on brimstone track.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Gotta pay the toll or face the dole. Charon's boats too full to float. Trails of the foolish on the underworld moat. Denied Olympian.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Eternal chains, no antidote.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You know what time it is. Let's get this show started.
Me, Zeus, aka Mr. Cross. Yeah. Don't be wrapped up in your feelings.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Once again, oh my God, you all look so lovely, so beautiful. Lucy, good morning. All right, Queensley. Hey, Mr. Nice Guy. I'm glad that you're here. I got some information for you, and I would love to have a serious conversation with you if you don't mind, bro. All right, seriously. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know why we're here. All right, because we got a lot of work to do to save this great country of ours, but we're not going to be able to save it unless people start getting honest, right? Good morning, Roxy Box. Billy Buckeye, I got some information for you as well. Just stay right there. I figured it out, ladies and gentlemen. I think I know what's going on in this great country of ours. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are back in the Thunderdome. Welcome back. I'm your host. I am your pilot, and you know exactly why we are here, all right? We are here to do the real work that it takes to save this great nation of ours, all right? But before we get started, let's take care of some housekeeping items. For those of you who do not know who I am, I go by the name Zeus, or as some like to say, Triple H. And why do they call me Triple H, ladies and gentlemen? Well, it's quite simple. The first H is, well, because I'm honest. I'm the most honest person on social media. The second H, ladies and gentlemen, is, well, because I'm humble. All right, if I get it wrong, I really will be the first to apologize, all right? And that's just how it has to be in this country, all right? And then the last and the final H, ladies and gentlemen, is because you've guessed it. I am and will always remain the most handsome. No offense. Many of you know what we're here to do. We got to hold these people on the right accountable in some way, some shape or form, all right? And part of that is addressing the demonic force that is taking over the minds of a lot of these people who have intentionally gone out there and voted for this guy right here, Donald J. Trump, to be their commander-in-chief. And this means we will have to, honestly, continue to have very, very difficult, for them, not us, harsh conversations about their thoughts. Why do you believe the things that you believe? You know, in order to get them to understand that if they do not get this right before they take their last breath, they're going to lift their eyes up in hell. All right. And a lot of you Trump supporters, to be quite honest, you're on your way straight to hell. All right. So I got something to say if you're a Trump supporter out there real quick. If you do not want to hear the truth, do us all a huge favor. Leave this live and go on about your miserable morning. Because honestly, it's going to get very, very uncomfortable for you. All right, but get this. You don't got to take my word for it. Listen to your leader.
If you're not happy here, then you can leave. As far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, if you're not happy here, you can leave. If you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now.
Mm-hmm.
Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.
Right. So, any Trump supporters out there that still believe the lie that the Democrats are destroying this great country of ours and that we've been, President Biden is incompetent, he's a crypt keeper. That's what one of the guests said yesterday. Any of you still believe that nonsense? Any of you still believe Donald Trump won the 2020 election and that it was a rigged situation that stopped him from actually getting reelected? Any of you actually think you were better off 4 years ago today? When Donald Trump was president? Any of you really still believe that lie? Because I am now I'm actually at a new level with you Trump supporters. All right, I thought I was just dealing with an evil spirit, right? Look at this. Where's Mr. Nice Guy at? He was in my chat right there. And so, ladies and gentlemen, remember earlier this week we had an interesting moment where we got to a place where we have people in this country, and this is very unfortunate, especially for our young men out there. We have a lot of people in this country that think they're very intelligent, and they think they're intelligent because they can, read and regurgitate information. And so that got me to doing a little bit of thinking. All right. And so what I want to do, ladies and gentlemen, is you could go to all the people out there that think they're smart. Please make sure you just go on the internet and look up some of the questions that you got, because the internet can give you unbiased feedback, right? So you go out there, you go on the internet, and I said, what percentage of adults in the United States of America, ladies and gentlemen, are uneducated, illiterate? Any of you Trump supporters have any idea about what percentage of the American people are uneducated and illiterate out there? Because I think this is something we got to start addressing in this great country of ours. How are we going to compete with other countries when a lot of you can't even read and write and do math? How are we going to compete with China? How are we going to compete with India, North Korea, and all these other countries where these people can pick up a math book and actually do some serious calculations? How are we going to compete with it if a lot of you don't even understand some of the basic stuff that's going on in this country? So about 21% of adults in the United States are illiterate or functionally illiterate. Think about that, MAGA. And a good chunk of it is all of you. All right. And I hate to say it. Low literacy skills can make it difficult to find work, ladies and gentlemen, and lead to poverty. Any of you out there crying about the price of eggs still? I think it has a lot to do with a lot of the personal failures that a lot of you are currently experiencing. All right. It can also limit your employment opportunities and lead to increased poverty rates. So in other words, ladies and gentlemen, 1 in 5 adults in the United States have low literacy skills. And you all know Donald J. Trump loves the poorly uneducated out there. All right. And so to the Trump supporters out there, I realize you got to understand when you've met your match. All right. You're getting out here on the internet. Yeah. Your checkbook is low. Your checking account, if you got one, is low. Your self-esteem is where? Low. All right. Your relationships, they're low. All right. And somewhere along the line, you've let this deranged lunatic, Donald J. Trump, convince you that he can fix all of those problems if you just put him back in the White House. See, what he's doing is he's playing on your intelligence. So what I said is this: if you're illiterate and poorly educated, and you've also been compromised by the MAGA demon, let this be a wake-up call for you, all right? Because you're going straight to hell, and you might not even realize it. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and give a huge round of booze and shame for all these illiterate and poorly educated Trump supporters that continue to be vassals of transgression for Donald J. Trump, all right? And no, they're not really going to get any help from him. As far as they're concerned, he just used them for their vote, and now he's going to cast them straight into the lake of fire like I am. Let's give him a huge round of booze and shame. Y'all got to step this up. I don't care.
Silence, you mad.
For the record, I'm going to just say this. If we start having a serious conversation and then we get to the point about your educational level and it gets to a place where I say, oh, you're not qualified to have this conversation, I'm just going to end it right there, because I just can't let people who have terrible, low education and I just can't let that stuff roll around in my head, because in no real life scenario does it make sense. Yesterday, I brought a bunch of Trump supporters up here. Zeus, you got cooked, you got cooked, you got cooked. And I said, well, would you put this person in charge of your business? And not one single Trump supporter actually said, yes, I would put this poorly educated individual who could regurgitate a lot of information that he looked up on the internet. I would put him in charge of my business. None of you would. So this tells me you got enough sense to understand it's not a good idea. And speaking of poorly educated, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have to talk about this. This guy Pete Hegseth, they want to make him Secretary of Defense, and boy, oh boy, did they just make this guy look totally incompetent and terribly educated yesterday at the Senate confirmation hearing. And I said, you know what's going to happen, in addition to us heading towards a 1929 style depression, all right? That's where we're going. This is going to be, honestly, the most incompetent administration we've ever had to deal with. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. It seriously is going to be the most incompetent administration. There are going to be, well, it's already happening. It's going to be, it's a circus. You're going to be able to look at things and go, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. And it's going to be so many problems to point out. Honestly, I think it's going to be too difficult to keep up with, right? And I'll give you a good example. Let's talk quickly about mass deportations. I got something that I would like to get on the record, all right? An update about mass deportations. And I want you to just understand, this is what it's going to turn into once the clown show officially begins.
A week until President-elect Trump is sworn into office, we want to focus on his day one plans to tackle a top priority, immigration and border security. I'm losing my earpiece here. By the way, in a private meeting with Republican senators last week, Trump and his team said he planned to issue an estimated 100 executive orders on his first day in office.
He's going to issue 100 executive orders on his first day in office. But you also got to keep in mind, these people that are actually writing these executive orders, they don't know how to read. They don't know how to comprehend. And they're going to give these orders to other people who don't know how to read and comprehend either. So get ready.
Making it much harder to cross the southern border. Multiple sources told Axios that the president-elect will likely try to reinstate Title 42, the pandemic-era border restriction that allows the U.S. to expel migrants before they could seek asylum, citing concerns over the spread of disease. President Biden ended that policy in 2023 after the pandemic had been declared officially over. Now, if the incoming Trump administration wants to reinstate Title 42, they'll need a public health emergency to do it. And according to the New York Times, Trump's advisors have spent recent months trying to find the right disease to build their case. Other potential executive orders could target finishing the border wall, setting up new immigration.
So slow down. So they want to implement Title 42, but they need a health crisis in this country. And so they're saying the Trump administration is currently actively searching for another health crisis to justify reinstating Title 42. See, MAGA, are you following this, you Trump supporters? And this is what I was saying earlier when I was talking about incompetence, and a lot of you're so gullible that he's going to be able to pull this off. And you know how he's going to do it? He's going to blame the Democrats and say, look, MAGA, look at this. We got to re-implement Title 42. We got another health crisis going on. You got RFK, doing what he does, selling the lie. And guess who's going to end up being extremely harmed by a lot of this? You Trump supporters, right? So ladies and gentlemen, you know what we got to do. Join me in giving these Trump supporters who are continuing to allow Donald Trump to lie to them and mislead them. Join me in giving them another round of booze and shame. It is what it is.
Silence, you MAGA demon.
These people know that they are out of their league, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to actually addressing some of the real issues that are going on. And being led by utter incompetence, to me, as far as I'm concerned, is a recipe for disaster. Anybody in their right mind would say, I am not going to put somebody that I know is unqualified to do the job in a position. All right. Everybody knows that. All right. But these Trump supporters, they continue to religiously get out here and try to defend the indefensible. So now, speaking of defending the indefensible, we got to get some updates from my good friend Lawrence O'Donnell. You know what he did? You know what he did yesterday. All right. He cooked. All right. He made it real clear what's going on with Pete Hegseth. And right now we know Pam Bondi. She's getting her confirmation hearing, and you know there's going to be more more drama coming from that. But while we have it, let's go ahead and listen to it.
Always this way. Back when I was the staff director of the Senate Finance Committee, I helped that committee run several confirmation hearings, dozens of them, for Treasury Department nominations, Health and Human Services Department nominations, and others. And at every one of those hearings, both sides always asked serious questions. Always. In fact, each senator on both sides in those days asked serious questions.
Right.
Some were better questions than others, but they were all serious. That was the minimum standard, serious. In the 21st century Trump Republican Party in the United States Senate, serious questions are disappearing.
Right.
How many push-ups can you do?
I did 5 sets of 47 this morning.
Wow.
The top Democrat
Impressive.
on the Armed Services Committee today, Jack Reed of Rhode Island, the former chairman of that committee, began the hearing on the Democratic side of the panel by telling Pete Hegseth he is the first nominee for Secretary of Defense who he cannot vote for, including both of Donald Trump's previous nominees for Secretary of Defense, who Jack Reed supported.
Mr. Hegseth, you are the 9th nominee for Secretary of Defense that I've had the honor to consider as a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee. I have voted in favor of all your predecessors, including those in the first Trump administration. Unfortunately, you lack the character and composure and competence to hold the position of Secretary of Defense. Thank you.
You hear that?
And then it got worse for Pete Hegseth.
I want to return to the incident that you referenced a minute ago that occurred in Monterey, California in October 2017. At that time, you were still married to your second wife, correct? I believe so.
Yes.
And you had just fathered a child by a woman who would later become your third wife, correct?
Wow.
Senator, I was falsely charged. Fully investigated and completely cleared.
What?
So you think you are completely cleared because you committed no crime? That's your definition of cleared? You had just fathered a child 2 months before by a woman that was not your wife. I am shocked that you would stand here and say you're completely cleared. Can you so casually cheat on a second wife and cheat on the mother of a child that had been born 2 months before, and you tell us you are completely cleared?
Cleared.
How is that a complete clear?
Senator, the child's name is Gwendolyn Hope Hegseth, and she's a child of God, and she's 7 years old.
And she was, and you cheated on the mother of that child less than 2 months after that daughter was born, didn't you?
Those were false charges.
Well,
I was fully investigated, and I was completely cleared. And I'm so grateful for the marriage I have to this
you've
woman behind me.
You've admitted that you had sex at that hotel in October 2017. You said it was consensual, isn't that correct?
Anything...
You've admitted that it was consensual, and you were still married, and you just had a child by another woman.
Again,
how do you explain your judgment?
Completely false charges against me.
You
fully investigated, and I was completely clear.
You have admitted that you had sex while you were married to wife 2 after you just had fathered a child by wife 3. You've admitted that.
That's
now,
a lot
if
of
it had
killing.
been a sexual assault, that would be disqualifying to be Secretary of Defense, wouldn't it?
It was a false claim then and a false claim now.
If it had been a sexual assault, that would be disqualifying to be Secretary of Defense, wouldn't it?
That was a false claim.
So you
talking about a hypothetical.
So you can't tell me whether someone who has committed a sexual assault is disqualified from being Secretary of Defense?
Senator, I know in my instance, and I'm talking about my instance only, it was a false claim.
But you acknowledge,
investigated.
that you cheated on your wife and that you cheated on the woman by whom you had just fathered a child. You've admitted that.
I will allow your words to speak for themselves.
You're not retracting that today. That's good. I assume that in each of your weddings, you've pledged to be faithful to your wife. You've taken an oath to do that, haven't you?
Senator, as I've acknowledged to everyone in this committee, not a perfect person, not claiming to be.
But no, I just asked a simple question. You've taken an oath like you would take an oath to be Secretary of Defense and all of your weddings to be faithful to your wife. Is that correct?
This is crazy.
I have failed in things in my life, and thankfully I'm redeemed by my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
The incident in Monterey led to a criminal charge, a criminal investigation, a private settlement, and a cash payment to the woman who filed the complaint. And there was also a non-disclosure agreement, correct?
It was a confidential settlement agreement off of a nuisance lawsuit.
Right. During an interview, you claimed that you settled the matter because you were worried that if it became public, it might hurt your career. Do you maintain that you were blackmailed?
Senator, I maintain that false claims were made against me. And ultimately,
Your attorney
those
used
false
the
claims,
phrase,
I have the opportunity to attest my innocence in those false claims.
But you didn't reveal any of this to President Trump or the transition team as they were considering you to be nominated for Secretary of Defense. You didn't reveal the action.
Wow.
You didn't reveal the criminal complaint. You didn't reveal the criminal investigation.
Yep.
You didn't reveal the settlement. You didn't reveal the cash
Get 'em,
payment.
King.
Why didn't you inform the commander-in-chief of
Yep.
the transition team of this very relevant event?
Senator, I've appreciated every part of the process with the transition team. They have been open and honest with me. We've had great conversations between the two of us. And I appreciate the opportunity that President-elect Trump has given me.
You chose not to reveal this, right?
Yeah.
Because you knew it would hurt your chances. So you chose not to reveal this really important thing to the commander-in-chief and the transition team because you were worried about your chances rather than trying to be candid with the future president of the United States.
Anyone with $10,000.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we have going on in this country, I just covered a lot of incompetence, right? I believe that every Trump supporter will have to, they say die on these hills. Everything Donald Trump has done that they've, defended, they're going to have to defend it all the way until they take their last breath. Any women out there, any women out there who voted for Donald Trump, could you please identify yourself in the chat real quick? Any women out there who voted for Donald Trump? I know you're too afraid and it's difficult for you to get in the box. I probably won't ask you to get in the box, but I just want to see in the comment section. Any ladies out there who voted for Donald J. Trump, please put a 1 in the chat. I just got to ask a question. I just got to ask. This is something that kept me up last night. All right. And actually, I posted a video yesterday. Kevin O'Leary, this thing about cheating on your wife came up, and he just put a who cares. He said, who cares? No one cares if you cheat on your wife. So I got to ask the MAGA ladies out there, is it acceptable for your man to cheat on you now? Is that a new thing that I didn't know? Is it cool to do that now? I'm just asking because honestly, I didn't know that we were on that type of time in 2025, right? Is it okay for your man to cheat on you, MAGA women? Is it okay? Put a 1 in the chat if it's okay, ladies. You don't got to come up here. I just want to make sure I understand what type of time we're on in 2025. Put a 1 in the chat if you're a MAGA woman and you have absolutely no problem with your man cheating on you. All right? Because I want to get that clear. I want to get that cleared up right now. I'm looking in the chat. Anyone see any number 1s, mods? Could you do Big Zeus a huge favor and pin the ones that you see? I can't see them. Maybe my vision is bad. Maybe I need to get a little closer. Any MAGA women out there? I'm looking. Any MAGA? No, seriously. I'm being so serious. Any MAGA women out? And I know you're here. Look at the number. We got like 600, almost 600 people in here. There has to be at least one woman out here that voted for Donald Trump and believes it's okay for their man to go and cheat, not only cheat on them, but hey, why not have a baby? We don't believe in ABs, right? So let's just, let them do what they do. I'm looking. So, and ladies and gentlemen, y'all been following this show. These people always have a lot to say when I'm talking, and Zeus, you're going to judge them for that. We all fall short. But it goes back to that conversation that I had. Would you put the person that is poorly educated in charge of your business? And you're right. It's cricket. This is what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. This is why the whole nation is going down in degradation. This is why I say you're possessed with a MAGA demon. Because now you're afraid, ladies. You're afraid to put an address on it and say, I voted for Donald Trump. How about this? Can I ask this question? If any women out there voted for Donald Trump, could you put a 1 in the chat? Could you put at least a 1 in the chat so I know that there's some women here who voted for Donald Trump? Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. Go ahead. Put a 1 in the chat, ladies, if you voted for Donald Trump. I'm being very, very serious. W. Rhea in the chat. Okay, Marsha. Thank you, Marsha. I knew you would be one of the brave women that at least would admit you voted for Donald Trump. And look at what Marsha wrote, ladies and gentlemen. And Marsha, I know it's difficult for you to come up here and explain yourself, so I'll do all the talking. For those of you who can't see what Marsha said, she says, Zeus, so many cheat. Okay, Marsha, but is it okay that they cheat? Marsha, and listen, this is a sensitive issue, right? Thank you, Heaven, for pinning that. It's a sensitive issue, Marsha. Just because they cheat doesn't mean it's okay. Are you raising your daughter, if you have one, or your nieces, right? Are you pushing that? You know, it's okay to date a guy that mistreats you and goes around and sows his seed like he's planting, running a farm or something. You teach your children that, or the people in your community that. Any other women out there besides Marsha? And you know what, Marsha? If I'm wrong, I'll apologize. If I'm wrong, Marsha, I'll say, you know what, I was wrong. I was raised to believe that, men and women should, be respectful towards each other in a relationship. And yeah, I get it. Infidelity, that stuff happens, right? I'm not going to sit here, and this is where a lot of the Trump supporters get it confused about us Democrats. Or liberals or leftists, whatever you want to call us, the Marxist, fascists, whatever y'all want to call us. This is where y'all get it wrong. It's not that we feel like, people have to be perfect, right? Because we understand people are flawed in general, but there has to be a point where you say we should strive to be better, right? And I think, to me, that's the very big difference here, right? It's the fact that we're not on where you're at right now. You're not even trying to be better. I mean, imagine if we all just kind of got comfortable being terrible human beings, right? Imagine if we all just got comfortable and said, hey, she could do whatever she want to do. He can do whatever he want to do. And we're just going to be, one big happy family, right? And we're not going to have any standards. You can rob, steal, and cheat. That's fine. We don't even need jails anymore in this country. Just let people live their life. Right? Imagine. Oh, yeah. And I see the word Christian. Oh, man, believe in the devil. You could believe in the devil. You could believe in Jesus. We all partying and just going to hell together. All right? It's going to be a celebration. Imagine if we lived in a country like that, ladies and gentlemen, right? How could you really say, I have a problem with this person at all, if everything goes? See, this is the hypocrisy of the MAGA demon. Am I right, Sneaky Fingers? Y'all want to sit here and y'all want to say President Biden is a criminal, but you lost the ability to call him a criminal the moment you voted for one. Right? That's how this works. My husband, this is how it's going. My husband, he cheated on me. I'm completely devastated. Who's going to help me raise these kids? And under normal circumstances, the community rally behind you. Oh, he did this. You're a dog. You're an animal. That's your wife of your kids. That's the mother of your kids. That's your wife. How dare you? Because they want to hold people accountable. But how do you hold your husband accountable for doing these things when you know you went and voted for this guy who's done those things and worse? You've lost the ability, ladies, honestly, to at least stand up for yourselves And this is what you're going to be enduring for the, year after year after year. And I'm talking to the MAGA women. All right. I know I'm preaching to somebody this morning. You MAGA women have lost your ability to stand up and speak for yourselves. Because what you've done, this is the greatest sin you've done against yourselves, is you've allowed men in your party, in particular, to run over you like a monster truck. They have the right to run over you right now, because what do you look like? What do you look like going into a courtroom? He did this and he did that to me. And they're going to go, why did you think it was acceptable to do that to your wife? And if he's really honest, he's going to say, I'm a Trump supporter. That's what we do. If he's really honest with himself, we do what our cult leader does, and why should there be any issues with it? And if she really had a problem with it, why didn't she say something? Why didn't she vote for Kamala Harris? Obviously, she likes it. She likes it when I'm a MAGA man. She likes it when the MAGA demon does what it does. She doesn't have any standards, right? And this is where we're heading, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of us who were raised correctly, even though we know that we could potentially, be terrible human beings, we make the conscious decision to say, unfortunately, we are people of, moral integrity. We have character. Even though we do wrong things, we also believe in holding ourselves accountable. And even though there's the opportunity to do things like that, we say, oh, you know what? There's a higher order to what's going on out here, and we're not going to play that game. And so, you see right now, ladies and gentlemen, these women know that I'm actually ministering to their souls. They are as quiet as a church mouse in the chat. I'll give them another chance. Any MAGA women want to come up here, honestly, and check me or correct me about any of the things that I've just said, please put a 1 in the chat, all right? It's never been this quiet, right? They know what I'm saying is real. They know what I'm saying is real. Imagine, ladies, you come home, your husband comes home, and I pray to God, honestly, I want every single one of these MAGA men out there to cheat on their wives. Your wife voted for Trump, please cheat on her. Please go have another baby, all right? And dare her to say anything to you, because that's the type of time we on right now. They can't say to the MAGA men out there, you have my authorization, you have my approval. Go be fruitful and multiply. She doesn't care. She doesn't care. And I got proof. Go read my comment section under my most recent video. All right. There's some MAGA women in there basically saying, Kevin O'Leary, it's okay for our husbands to cheat on us. It doesn't mean they can't do the job. As long as they can do the job, it's fine. What does them cheating on me have to do? And then these saying, Judge, he cheated on me with her. I'm not being nice. Well, maybe you didn't hear me at the top of the show.
If you're not happy here, then you can leave. As far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, if you're not happy here, you can leave. If you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now. Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.
I'll give you Trump supporters one more chance, honestly, to come up here and get it right. All right. I'll give you one. Put a 1 in the chat if you're a Trump supporter. I could talk about mass deportations, right? We could talk about, tariffs. We could talk about all of that stuff. But let's also talk about the new thing on the block, right? Which is it's okay to cheat on your man. It's okay to cheat on your wives. That's the new thing that I want to talk about with you Trump supporters. And don't duck and dodge. And go ahead, please. Go get me the Bible scriptures. And listen, and again, look at that. Someone wrote Roe versus Wade. If your husband, I'm going to go deeper. If your husband's, ladies, cheats on you and that woman gets pregnant, it is your duty to fall in line and say, yes, dear, make sure that other woman has your child, because God said, bring those babies in. You get what I'm saying, ladies? If he cheats on you and gets another woman pregnant, you actively have to support him in getting that child into this earth, into this world, and doing whatever it takes. Because remember, you're pro-life. Right? So, and if I catch any of you ladies out here trying to say men on the right are this and that, I'm going to do this, because I've seen a couple of these lives. There's some lives that have been happening on this app, ladies and gentlemen. This man is a toxic person. This man is a racist. This man has SA'd. This man. If I catch any of you conservative women out here talking about your fellow conservative man, I can't help but wonder, why should we rally behind you and support you in trying to call somebody out on the right like these MAGA men when you know you went out there and voted for one? It doesn't add up. And you will not actually, you don't have the courage to come up here and defend what you've been saying at this point. Because I said, listen, ladies, put a 1 in the chat if you think it's acceptable for your man to cheat on you. Please come up here and tell us all how that works. And not one of you done it. So what this tells me is you're sitting at home right now and you know you've made a terrible mistake. Your children, they don't look up to you and actually truly respect you, because deep in their hearts, because children are very smart, they're very wise. They know mommy is a terrible person. They know that either she has low self-esteem or she's actually truly a very evil person, because what kind of person that respects themselves would actually put themselves in a situation in which they would intentionally allow someone else to disrespect them? I know I'm preaching to somebody. I know this truth is hard to digest, ladies and gentlemen, but this is where we are as a nation. And you can blame whatever it is you want to blame, but unfortunately, the only person you really need to do is blame is yourself. Congratulations, ladies, you've played yourself. Listen, I'm Triple H, right? And one of the H's humble. If I'm wrong, I will admit it. If Zeus, you know I agree with you. Okay, thank you, Marshall. Thank you. So I'm honest. I'm being very honest. Enough of the mass deportations for right now. Enough of the tariffs. Ladies, where are the MAGA women at right now in my chat? Please put a 1 in the chat. I need to check in with you. I need an honest conversation with you. Because playtime's over. You got what you wanted. You got it. You got Donald Trump. So let's have the real conversation. How are you going to justify? There we go. Ashley, come on up here, Ashley. Please, Ashley, please. I don't want to get into policy right now. I want to go off teleprompter a little bit. All right, Ashley? If you don't mind, Ashley, can you come up here, Ashley?
You don't mind if I go off teleprompter for a second, do you?
Put a 1 in the chat if you're a MAGA woman out there and Donald Trump is the person you voted for. This is something very, very serious. This is very, very serious. Ashley, what happened, Ashley? How many of us would like to hear from Ashley? Ashley, there's people out here that they honestly want to know, they want to know the thought process. And I'm curious too, because I've had a lot of relationships, Ashley, end because of doing the things that these MAGA demons do. And, and what, Pete Hegseth has done, what Donald Trump has done, cheating on your partners. Like, we've all done things that we know we shouldn't have done. A lot of the times that's grounds for dismissal. That's grounds for termination. So what I'm not processing correctly, Ashley, and any of you women out there, what I'm not processing is how did all of a sudden this became cool to do? All right. How did this all of a sudden become a thing to do where it's okay for your partner to be openly disrespectful and let everyone in the community know, yeah, you're a person that it's okay to disrespect because you'll, no matter what, always run to the rescue. Put a 1 in the chat if you're a woman out there that voted for Donald Trump, please. This is serious stuff. Operation Exposed. I'll talk to the MAGA men. Any MAGA men out there, put a 1 in the chat. I'll do it this way then, because the women right now, they're shy and they don't want to really have this conversation. Okay, look at that. We got Luke. And Luke, come on up here. All right. Wait a second. Who's this? Ezekiel. I'll bring up Ezekiel. I think Ezekiel was the first one. Put a 1. All right. Well, all right. Let's go. I'm trying to bring up other people that can actually put a little clarify what's going on. Put a 1 in the chat if you're a Trump supporter real quick. We don't got all morning. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I don't think they're shy. Here's what it is. Wherever they're at right now, they could be by themselves, right? Or they could actually, I think a lot of them, they might have their children around or their significant other. And they know the conversation is going to get into a place where, oh my God, things are serious. All right. Who do we have? Street Made Apparel. Come on up here. Zeus, seek help. Wait a second. Operation Expose. You want Big Zeus to seek help? Hold on. I was bringing up other people, but maybe Operation Expose can help me.
Zeus,
Yeah, you want me?
can I?
You want me to seek?
You don't get
You want me
sick?
to seek help?
Yeah, you definitely need to seek help, and you've been needing to seek help, bro. But let me ask you a question. You don't get sick of every day coming on here talking about one person and calling 70 plus million people evil? Honestly, it doesn't bother you? At 5 days a week, is that not like weird? Honest to God. And let's talk for real, man. One on one. You
Yeah,
don't
we
find it
are.
weird?
No.
Really? Honestly, every single day for the last 2+ years, however long you've been doing this, literally every single day, you talk about one man and about his followers, the people that voted for him. You don't find that weird?
No, but do you find it weird that
Holy
after all the
shit.
things? Wait. Now, listen. We don't. You got to keep it clean. And I'm glad you're willing to have a serious conversation with me. You don't find what you're doing weird?
Like what?
Well, you just heard everything that I've talked about, right? And we've talked policy quite a bit on this show, but now it's personal. You don't find it weird that somehow we're in a space right now where there's incompetent people being put into high positions of power, and women are now openly voting to be cheated on and mistreated. You don't find that weird?
No, I find that people make mistakes in the past and they learn from it.
That didn't
That's
even
what I
answer
find.
the part that I was bringing up. I'm bringing up two very distinct situations. We have incompetent people in government, and then we got people who are in real relationships. Are you in a relationship?
No, I'm not. But I do agree with we have incompetent people in government. Absolutely. I agree with
Bingo.
that.
Okay.
Especially with this administration that we're currently in. It's
I
the worst
wouldn't
of the
even.
worst.
I'm not even entertaining that. But what I am entertaining is this dating thing that's happening right now.
Hmm.
Do you personally believe it's acceptable for men to mistreat women?
No, I don't think no, it's not acceptable at all. Nope.
You hear this? So hypothetically, what would you encourage any woman to do if their partner cheated on them?
What would I encourage them to do? I mean, I can't speak for a woman. I could speak for a man. I'll say
You have
if
any sisters or anything like that,
no, I
or
don't. But no, I don't. But I could speak for a man. I
what
can
would?
tell you that if they made a mistake like that, they better seek forgiveness from the Lord and then make themselves a better person. Hopefully, they learn from it. That's all you do. That's all you can do, right?
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. We can't guarantee, right, that every man is going to learn.
I mean, and so to the MAGA women out there, do you hear how Operation Expose thinks of it? It just doesn't seem like there's any
What's
remorse.
so wrong? So tell me what's your idea? What would you do? Tell me what you
Well,
would tell a man that cheated on a woman. Please tell me how you would react to it.
no, because here's the thing. I'm a Democrat, right?
Right.
And I'm convinced that everything Democrats do, the people on the right, they're going to say is wrong. I mean, believe it or not, we're in a situation right now where you guys have been totally led to believe that everything is wrong in this country and it's because of the Democrats, right? I'm actively out here basically saying to the women that voted for Donald Trump, you know, the man that you're with is looking up to this guy, Donald Trump, and saying this is a person that's cheated on his wives, right? He's been found liable for essaying. And I would even say, the thing with Ivana, right? The hair plugs incident, that was very damaging. You got the Lolita Express thing with Jeffrey Epstein, right? You got all of that going on. So how do you justify trying to tell your man he's a terrible person when you voted for a terrible person? You understand what I'm saying? Like they've basically defeated themselves.
So here's the thing, Zeus. I think that where we kind of differ is I think you have to be consistent in your beliefs, right? So, for
Yes.
example, you said that Donald Trump was convicted of essay, right?
No, I
Now,
said he was found liable.
liable. Okay, whatever it is, right? So now my question to you is: Biden was accused of essay by 2 women, right?
Mm.
Although it never went to court and all that good stuff. So tell me what you think about that. I mean, do you think that women were lying? Is Biden a bad person? Because he was accused by 2 women and they had substantial stories and they had other people that were corroborating their statements and all that good stuff. And they even approached the police back when it even happened, long time ago. So it's not like it's old news, but it was resurfaced when Biden was going for his what's called. He was seeking for the he was seeking.
It's
to be
simple.
the president.
It's to
So
me.
my question is, what do you think about that? What do you think
It's
about
ve-
the accusations against Biden?
It's simple. Either we have integrity and we have morals, or we don't. Right? If Biden did that, I believe the women should be heard. Right? And then
Okay.
if it's confirmed, he should be held accountable. Right? It's not just you say something and we're gonna just basically nail you to the cross. And I would give Donald Trump the same respect. Right? If that's what happened, then women should be heard. Then they need to be, it needs to be brought up, and they need to look into it. And if they find out that it did happen, then we need to nail them to the cross.
Did you hear
don't-
what you just said?
Yeah, but I
You
don't
heard what
think
you just said, right?
Yeah, right. So let's just say it's a 1, 2, 3 step process to nailing them to the cross. Right? Let's just simplify it on that level. If we go through all 3 steps and he's found liable, then we're going to nail him to the cross. If they go through step 1 and 2, but then not 3, we can't nail them to the cross, kind of thing, right?
Okay, so
So
fair
that's how my mind works. So I'm not going to do what I'm going to do to Donald Trump to Joe Biden. But if Joe Biden ended up going through those 3 steps and they said liable, oh, Joe Biden, you're a terrible person. We can't have that. We're not going to advocate for that. I can't get behind that. Right? I get it. We're all imperfect. But listen, buddy, if I allow you to get away with things, then I think it would be fair for you to start allowing me to get away with things, right? And then, have you ever been in a situation in which there's just no standards? Have you ever been in a situation like that?
Not that I could think of.
Well, you work.
Yes, I do.
Okay, imagine your employer all of a sudden saying, the standards don't exist anymore. Make it however you want to. If you're in manufacturing, right? Just make it how you want to make it. The airplanes they'll be fine. You can understand what that would turn into, right?
Right.
The parts would
I
all of a sudden
understand,
become faulty, and it would just be a snowball effect. And just in terms of the overall harm, it would be continuing to perpetuate. So we got to have standards.
Right. So and I agree with you. And again, consistency is a big thing. Again, when you
Yeah.
right now you just said that you can't just hear something and then assume the guy is guilty and approach it like he's guilty, right? But
We
I've
agree
been
on that.
to your lives. I've been to your lives numerous times. You have mentioned, and I'll give you an example, right? So many things that you've heard that Trump has done, yet it's all hearsay, right? There's no evidence behind it. And I'll give you an example and I remember you saying this one time. This was about 6-7 months ago. You said that Donald Trump called troops losers or something along those lines,
Suckers
right?
and losers.
Again, that's hearsay, right? But yet you never mentioned it as it was hearsay. You automatically thought he was guilty of it because the Atlantic reported on it, right?
Right.
So
We
where's
had
the proof?
evidence.
Where's the evidence?
The evidence is what's in writing, right? And so I don't know if you've had.
God.
I don't
You're
listen.
kidding me.
I-
You're kidding me. The
You
evidence
asked-
is in writing?
Yeah. If anybody.
Okay, the
if-
evidence is in writing. There's articles on the
Yeah,
two
I-
women that went after Biden and accused him of SA.
Right.
That's in writing. Those are
right.
sources.
Yeah. And that's why that evidence, right, would then be to me escalated to step 2, right? And then you go from step 2 to you got to have something because when you go to court, evidence comes in terms of testimony, right? Witnesses. It could come in terms of what's written, audio, video. So there's multiple things that would be considered evidence. And I believe, honestly, Tara Reid, right? Go for it. You got the evidence. Next, let's go to the courtroom, all right, and let the jury come to a conclusion based on that evidence, right? And then after that, we go to the step 3. Is he liable or not? Is he guilty or not? So I'm not trying to say you don't have any evidence against the Biden, but look at what happened with it,
Right. But here's
right?
the thing.
And
Again,
it goes back to those standards, operation.
yeah. But but again, for example, the whole suckers and losers comment, right? They never went to court to see if it was true or not. So you stopped at step 2 for yourself, right?
Well,
based
I
on
believe
your own. Based
No,
on
no, no, no,
everything
no,
you
no,
just
no.
said.
No, no, no,
What?
no, no, no,
Tell
no,
me
no,
where I'm
no.
wrong.
Okay, so there is different levels to this way we're talking about things being in a legal sense and then things actually happening out here, what I call the court of public opinion, hypothetically, right? We all kind of live in the court of public opinion a little bit. And I would say on both sides, there might be statements that are said, and then you can actually bring that up and actually talk about that. And all I'm saying from my vantage point, right? You have real generals backing up these statements, right? And these people have a lot of credibility. Donald Trump, in my opinion, he doesn't have a lot of credibility. And so you got to add that into it now, right?
Right.
It's about the credibility and the integrity of the people actually backing up those statements as well. And if you get multiple people confirming these things were said, and then I can actually go and find things he said outside of that, right? For instance, his comment about he had his own personal Vietnam, which he was attributing to the way he was when he was dating women, right? You don't do that. You don't disrespect troops that actually sacrificed their lives during the Vietnam War and liken your dating experience to what those men and women in uniform had to go through. You get what I mean? That's just disrespectful. I've seen the Dover Air Force Base incident, and I don't believe that military families, ones that refuse to shake the president's hand, for instance, about what he did in terms of that Yemen raid, he authorized it. And instead of consulting with his national security advisor, he just did it around Steve Bannon because it was something Obama wouldn't do. He wanted to prove how tough he was. When you take it all into consideration, you hear what Rex Tillerson said and all these other people who've worked with him. He berates our generals. You have to at least say, what are the chances Donald Trump is lying? And what are the chances these other people are lying? And then make your own determination from that. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I guess what you're saying. So, and I guess another thing is all these statements that you're saying, all of them are coming from anonymous sources. Till this day, the person that says suffering losers has been anonymous. Nobody knows who it is, right? So I find if you don't find that kind of sketchy and kind of weird, then I don't know what to tell you. But there's a lot of these sources, a lot of these statements that are supposedly said by Donald Trump. They're coming from anonymous sources, as if the Atlantic just wants to write an article to bash Trump. And this anonymous source not even being an anonymous source.
How about this?
It was just made up story.
Has Donald Trump, based on what you've heard him talk about, do you think he's ever said anything that's inappropriate?
Absolutely.
Or disrespectful?
Absolutely.
Or disrespectful about our troops?
Yeah, 100% he has.
Okay, so then
I don't know about our troops, but I would say the only time I remember anything military related, I guess it would be the John McCain, you know what I mean? The prisoner of war statement that he made, which I didn't like. But again, everyone makes bad
a leopard
statements.
never changes its spots. You got to start using wisdom in these situations, right? And this is where I think things get really out of hand. And this is why I believe, in addition to the policy blowback that you Trump supporters are going to experience, it's going to get real personal, because I would make the argument that if you've ever been in a situation and someone is lying to you, you can't get upset with them. You would have to defend them for lying to you. Does that make sense? Because look at what you're doing for Donald Trump.
So where do you draw the line then? Has Biden ever lied to the American people?
I'm pretty sure he has.
Okay, so where do you draw the line?
I draw the line when it turns into outlandish, ridiculous lies that are harmful. All right. And I don't even think President Biden's, he has to be the president. I don't expect him to be 100% transparent, especially when you're talking about things like national security. But I'll draw a line like this. We have the wildfires burning in California right now, and Donald Trump has bashed the Democrats, right? And he's selling this lie that if you just open up this faucet, all of this would have never happened. And the supporters of his go around saying, yeah, see Gavin, and they talk about budget cuts and all this other stuff. And in my mind, I'm going, you all, first of all, you hate California, so don't act like you're concerned, because that's not really genuine. You don't care about California, so quit acting like it, number one. Number two, if you were here during the atmospheric river when that faucet was opened, you would also know that too much water on this type of soil turns into floods and landslides. So you got to think, do we want fires or do we want landslides? You know what I mean? We're arguing about something that to me is a complete waste of time, does not address the immediate needs of the people. So I draw the line right there, because that's nothing but distraction politics, and it's actually harmful. It's not helping, in my opinion, unite the country. That's what I say.
I find it hard to believe that you truly. There's no way that you truly believe that Democratic policy isn't one major reason for why these fires have gotten so out of control?
I don't.
And you honestly think that, honest to God?
I don't think Democrat policies, no reason that these fires happen, no more than I think that the hurricanes that occurred, right, in Florida
Right.
and, did all that nasty harm. I don't think it's the Republicans that I could blame for those hurricanes. You get what I mean? Like, dude,
I'm
these
not
things.
talking about the start of it, right? I'm talking about after the initial, like for example, when Hurricane Katrina hit Florida, what were the steps taken after the hurricane was done to get the city or the state back up and running, right?
Well,
Or when, for example, for these
Katrina.
fires, right? How did they manage it when this fire started? How did they manage it? Did they manage it well?
Well,
Did they have the resources to manage it well? The
no.
answer to those questions is no.
So no. So the fires, I don't know if you're following it. I don't know what your understanding of it is, right? But from what I understand, the water available, the demand of the water that they were trying to use to put out all 5 or 6 of these fires that were going at the same time, the system couldn't handle it, right? It's like you got a car and the car could probably only, haul what x amount of hundreds of pounds, and then you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna quadruple that. You know what that's going to do? It's not, to me, these are just, it's physics, right? It's the laws of logic, right? You can't expect a system that has a limited capacity in terms of how it functions. You can't overload it and then go, oh, it's the Democrats. And you can't say it's the Republicans. And that's what's happening. The systems are being overwhelmed, whether we're talking about what happened here or even in Florida, North Carolina, and all those other states that experience these natural disasters. And he says things like, well, he should have raked the forest.
I wouldn't see. So here's
how do you first of all, let's really go ahead and think that through. In addition to opening the faucet, raking the forest, what's the job description for a forest raker? How much are we paying these people, and who's going to do it?
I don't know. I mean, if you want to, yeah, well, here's the thing, though. I guess I'm willing to go down this rabbit hole with the California fires. Although it's going to be a rabbit hole that we don't want to go down, I'll go down it. Okay, but I'll tell you this: the budget cuts, for example, to the fire department. Right? Let me list you a couple things. The budget cuts to the fire department, and now you're going to probably say,
but then they got restored, right? So
no, Zeus, listen for 1 second, and then even at the state level with Governor Newsom, right? I think he slashed $100 million in budget cuts for water related stuff that would have helped in situations such as this one, right? I'll give you this, and I think this is one of the strongest points. The chief of the fire department, LA Fire Department, herself said the policies have failed the people. She said it. It came out of her own mouth. So tell me what you think about that alone. What do you think she meant by the policies have failed the people? The chief of the LA Fire Department, please.
Well, I would say, at a certain
personal
point,
opinion. Is that a personal opinion?
Yeah, definitely, because it's being said without it. How are you going to make a statement like that? And we haven't done all the fact finding in terms of how did this happen, right? It's a little too premature, but I get it. It's politics, but I think we're in a real premature situation that we can actually declaratively state that is the sole reason. I think in a lot of these situations, when you go back and you look into how this situation turned into be what it is, you're going to find out it wasn't just one thing, right? The system was overloaded. She didn't say that. She didn't say, oh, well, listen, when we built these, this system that we were using to address these wildfires, we built it so that it could handle 20 fires happening at the same time. Think about the number of gallons of water it would actually have taken. And then where would you get that water? Where would you get the resources at an instant moment to actually put these fires out? I mean,
no one did they close?
No one says anything about all the fires that they have successfully put out. You know what I mean? You're talking about the ones that
any fires.
No, well, you're assuming that prior to this year there have never been any wildfires in California, but this is the largest fire that got out of hand. But other than that, every other year we've had fires. They've been very good at putting them out.
Zeus, I think you're forgetting that the chief of the LA Fire Department is a Democrat herself.
It does, but didn't I just tell you?
It does matter. Of course it matters. It's coming from a Democrat, so I would understand your point of view if she was a Republican. But that's not the case.
No. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. The system was overloaded. That means the system was there before she actually got into the office, right? This is years and years of systems being put in place to address wildfires. So you just can't assume that the person that now is in office built that system and that system is the reason all of this happened. That's years and years of political back and forth between Democrats and Republicans. And you're not even speaking on the Republicans that are here. Didn't you see California turn a lot redder this year?
Oh yeah, I mean, just like
Yeah.
every
So
other state.
so why are we ignoring the fact that there's Republicans here that
Those
have
are
also
voters.
contributed, Republican voters, Republican people who have been in office? Why are we ignoring the fact that they've also contributed to the system? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, here and
And
so
so
here's the thing.
and
Those
then
are they're democratic policies. Again,
no,
listen, the
what's the
mayor of LA
policy?
is a Democrat.
What's the
The
policy you're saying is a democratic policy? I'm a little
the
confused about that.
policy, for example, I'm not specifically policies. I'm talking about for example, the budget cuts, right? The fire department budget cuts. I think that alone, and that I'll give you another example. Those budget cuts led to 150 fire trucks being stuck, getting repaired because they didn't have the money to fix those fire trucks, where they could have been using them for the fires to help put out the fires. Make sense? So
No.
there's and the dams. I'll give you another example. The dams.
No, no,
How
no,
many
no, no,
dams did
no,
they
no, no,
how
no,
many dams did they
no,
close
no,
down?
no, no, because the assumption here is that if those fire trucks would have been here, right, and those things that you're proposing would have been there, that this fire would have never been what it is. And that to me, that's actually projecting it without actually having all of the data, right? This is a serious fire. This is a
There's no
I
way
don't
you're
I don't
serious
I
about
don't
what you said.
I don't know what other way for you to understand. Like it would be equivalent to you saying, you know, when those hurricanes in Florida came and it did what it did, had they had the budget correctly and FEMA, you know, had more helicopters and they addressed those construction projects a lot sooner, then all of that damage wouldn't have happened. You get what I mean? You can look at it. It's to me, it's a lot easier to complain about a problem than it is to fix it. That's kind of what I'm getting at. And I believe that the Republican Party, especially with Donald Trump, y'all have done an outstanding job coming up with all of these explanations for why things have happened. All right. But a lot of people who are saying these things honestly have no real understanding about physics, how things in life and in nature work at all. Yeah. Someone's putting like the winds, those winds 100 miles an hour at one point, Santa Ana winds. Y'all have never lived in that.
Right.
You've never
No,
lived in through that. So to imply all you need is a fire truck in 100-mile-an-hour winds, to me, you would be putting a lot of firefighters at risk. Honestly,
when I get
you
it,
would be
but when
if
when
that would have been your policy. We're gonna do Republican policy and address this. And let me ask you that: what would you have recommended instead of these Democrat policies that you keep bringing in? What would you have recommended? These fire departments and these other agencies do once this thing broke out based on
Good
Republican
question. Well,
policies?
I would have first of all, I would have had a plan in place. Actually, they had a plan in place. Unfortunately, the LA mayor was in Africa, I believe, attending something while these fires are breaking out. But that's so let's set that aside. I can tell you that the fire hydrants would have had water in them to help fight the fire, right? I get it. There was 100 mile an hour winds and things were getting out of hand fast. But what you have to understand is if everything was going the right way, then this would have been minimized and the time to put out the fires would have been also minimized, right? It
But
wouldn't
what's
have
the
gotten that
policy?
large. It wouldn't have
You know
gotten
what you
that
did. You
big.
know what you didn't say. You didn't say, Zeus. I would have passed. You know, this amount of funding increase in the budget. I would have increased the budget this much. You didn't say anything
I
like
wouldn't
that.
increase anything. I wouldn't have slashed the budget. My
Okay,
man, they
okay, that's what.
slashed the
So
budget.
that's what I was asking you. What would you have done? So you wouldn't have
I
slashed the
wouldn't have
budget.
slashed the budget.
You would have. How many fire trucks would you have put out there?
However many they had, I would have made sure that they're working. That's all. Whatever fire trucks they had, they better be working. That's it. They know that the state of California, they know that the fires happen yearly, right? But for some odd reason, guess what? Every year this happened, right? But the year that they cut and slashed the funds is the
So
year that these things have gotten this out of control.
so
If
you
that
understand
doesn't
my
tell you
point.
anything, then I don't know what will, bro.
You see my point. It's easier to say this is the problem than it is to actually explain what the real solution is, right? Because as far as I'm concerned, you wouldn't have slashed funding and you would have had some fire trucks that worked.
And I would have had water in the dams. And I
you
would
would
have
have
had water in the hydrants.
okay, and you had water in the hydrants and you would have opened up that faucet too and you would have had the forest raked, right?
No, forget about the force rate. Now you're getting a little bit funny with it, right?
No,
But at
no,
the end,
no, no. Because I want
listen,
Republican policy in terms of what it would have. Because see,
it's
honestly,
not.
if you have the
It's not
solution,
Republican policies, dude. It's common sense, my man.
it's
It's
either
literally
Democrat.
common sense, bro.
So you're saying earlier it's the Democrat policies that contributed to it. So that's why I'm using these concepts of Republican and
Okay,
Democrat.
maybe it's not. All right, so maybe okay,
W
you're right.
Rick
It's
in the
not
chat.
policies. It's the Democrat. It's the Democrat
No,
idea of slashing funds. So
no, no,
you're
no.
right.
You got
It's not. It's not technically a policy. You're right. I apologize. They're
okay. So
slashing funds, crucial funds that were needed to fight the fires, knowing that the fires were going to come. Experts are saying fires are going to be coming this year, and they're going to be coming hard.
why
Yet
do
they
you think
decide to
these
slash the
fires are
funding.
coming? Why do you think these fires are coming? Do you believe in
Whether
things?
it's intentional or not, okay, I don't know. But all I can tell you, it could be weather related. It could be somebody, intentionally putting the fire, dousing the fire with gasoline, making it bigger, whatnot. But all I know is if they had the resources that they need, they would have minimized the strength of the fire and the
But you
speed of
okay?
which the fire grows
But
and
but
the
operation,
size of the fire.
operation. Honestly, this is probably the deepest conversation that I've had with you, and I appreciate the fact that it was a clean one. But here's the honest truth in my assessment. What I'm saying is, I don't know if you've ever had the experience of like developing these kind of budgets for these public agencies before, right? But you know what they tend to do in there. They say this is what the budget has to be this year based on funding available, right? This is how things happen. And you got to make a cut here, right? That happens at a larger level, and that's due to, the budget situation in the state you're in, right? So I'm just going to play that out. They came up with their budget, and then everybody that reviewed the budget, they said this is the budget to move forward with. And there were not just Democrats involved in that process, there were also Republicans and other non-political people involved in actually coming up with the budget, because you got to drill down within each of those organizations and those agencies and identify what the costs are going to be for that particular year. This to me, this is what goes on. So when you say to me it's the Democrat policy, I'm going, okay, all of those exercises that they went through that honestly are supposed to be able to help provide transparency and accountability for why those dollars are being spent, it resulted in that situation. And then I asked you, well, what's the Republican way of looking at that? And I'm not really getting any clear answers. I really believe if there was a simple solution to this, you would be able to clearly state it, and then everyone in here would listen to it, and we would all run out there and stop these fires. And the fact that it's not easy for you to do that, to me, is the point that I've been trying to make. It's a lot easier to say this is the problem, that's the problem, but it's not as easy to say, hey, here's the solution. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying, but I guess where my mindset is I'm not saying that they're responsible for starting the fire.
You're
Democrats
trying
nor
to talk about
Republicans.
the response.
The response
Yeah.
and the length in which the length of time in which it spread so fast, right? It spread so fast in such a small amount of time.
Yeah, but you're not.
They
Are
had
you
the
following what I'm
resources.
saying?
No, I mean,
The wind, 100 miles an hour
yeah.
wind. Honestly, bro, what
What day was that? Do you know
Republican?
what day that was?
That was on the first day, the first few
No,
days, and even
no,
right
it
now they're
wasn't.
talking about it. What Republican policy do you know that has defense, right, for 100-mile-an-hour winds?
I don't.
And you know what I'm saying? I mean, this to me is so bizarre because I think you're joking a little bit, but I'm like, honestly, do you really believe firefighters have tools and resources to put out fires in 100-mile-an-hour winds? I mean, do you?
Yeah, I mean, so how long?
Okay.
So ask yourself, how long did those winds last? How you know what I mean? Like, you're taking one instance of 100-mile-an-hour winds. You're making it seem as if from the day it started till today there were 100-mile-an-hour winds, right? Let's say it happened for one day. It spread. Let's say hypothetically, again, I'm giving you hypotheticals, right? 100 acres, okay, in one day, and then the winds died down. Even after the winds died down, did they have the resources to contain the fire to how much it had spread after the 500 acres? No, they didn't. So could it have, because of the slashing of the budgets, you could have
No,
minimized you could have
no.
minimized the size of the fire. I promise you could have.
Sir, this is where we get into the theory and then there's reality. And this is kind of why I think a lot of people in this country are they're in a very, very bad shape. I'll be honest with you. What you said sounds good. I'll give you that. What you said sounds really, really great. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, we got 100-mile-an-hour winds. You got people panicking. You know what people do when they see danger? They panic, right? And then you got to deal with the chaos. You got looting going on. You have issues at the fire hydrant because every firefighter in the area is trying to access that same limited resource of water, and things are getting overwhelmed. You have multiple things happening all at once. And you are trying to look at it and say, if you would have just did this one thing, all of that would have happened. And I'm saying that's not how the real world works, and you know it. If it was that simple, and I liken it to the pandemic, and I hate to do the pandemic, this means Donald Trump during the pandemic put out Republican policies, right?
Yeah.
And you see how harmful that was. It involved a lot of misinformation and disinformation. It involved funding cuts, right? It involved Dr. Fauci, Mike Pence having press conferences, and you saw the harm. Many Americans lost their life as a result of the pandemic. Do we blame Donald J. Trump for that? In terms of the mismanagement of the pandemic?
Do you blame Donald Trump for that?
I'm asking you because it was a Republican policy in terms of how he responded to that.
So here's, I guess, how I would answer it. Was there some mismanagement to the COVID-19? Yes, I would say yes. But overall,
It was Republican policy, right? You
yes.
would say it was Republican policy that, I mean, using your logic, it was Republican policy that resulted in the mismanagement of the pandemic when Trump was president.
No, I wouldn't. I would say he didn't completely mismanage it, right? So I would say, were there some aspects in which he mismanaged it? Yes, but was it? And then here's what you have to understand, though, right? Overall, I think he did a great job. He came out with the vaccine within a year, record breaking, first time in the United States history a vaccine that came out that fast. And people were saying he wasn't able to, he wasn't going to do it, he wasn't going to do it. So we got to give him credit for that, right? Give him credit for how long it took him to get the vaccine, because that was a phenomenal job by him. Now, I'll also go ahead and tell you the most important distinction between these two situations, right? The fires and COVID-19 pandemic is the fires happen on a yearly basis. It's known. It's going to happen, right? Everyone knows it, yet they cut the funding. COVID-19 pandemic, nobody knows that there was going to be a pandemic.
Actually, can I push back? It's a once in a century thing that happens. And to be honest with you, the frequency doesn't matter. We kind of knew it was going to happen, though, because that's why Obama put the pandemic response playbook. So I got to take that from you. We knew something like this would happen. And actually, while Obama was in office, you remember we had the SARS situation. And so that's kind of the reason that pandemic response playbook was created, because we all knew at a certain point this was going to happen. So you can't, it's just a frequency, right? You're thinking about it happening every year as opposed to every century, but things like this have happened before. All right.
Okay. So, I guess here's my question, right? So you said that there was a pandemic, Obama created a pandemic, what's it called?
The pandemic response
response book, whatever it is, right? So my question to you is, how, not knowing what the actual virus was going to be, like in this example was COVID-19, right? You can't really predict how to respond to it until you know what the virus is, how strong the virus is, how fast it spreads. Right. So there was a lot of unknowns, right? Whereas in the fire, there's
sort of like with the fire. You don't know how fast the wind is going to be. You don't know how many firefighters are going to be trying to tap in. You don't know how many people are going to be panicking and then have robbing and looting. You don't know how many National Guard people are. You didn't know how many of the trucks were going to be down. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't know Biden was going to be leaving office and the mayor was going to be out of. I mean, there's a lot of variables. So you got to be able to, the way you got to say, like you said with Trump, right? Well, there are some aspects that could have been improved, right? You should be able to use that same skill set when it comes to the quote Democrat policies. Yeah, there's some things that could be improved, but for the most part, they're responding to it, because they didn't know a lot of the stuff they got now. Like you're saying about Donald Trump and the pandemic, right?
So, Seuss, do you see the difference between me and you? I just sat here and told you, yes, there were some things that he could have done better, right? I have yet to have you say one thing in which the Democrats have done wrong. Like, you have not said, oh, yeah, you know what? The Democrats should have done this.
Okay.
But instead, you're just bashing my points.
Okay.
Instead of saying,
and so now I got to explain now. And listen, and this has been an excellent conversation. There's other people, if you don't mind, they say they want to talk to you because they like how you talk, and they say that you got a perspective on you that they want to probe into. But I'll speak to this point on that. it's a little, what, here we are, what, 4 years later. Now you're able to look back and say, hey, this is what Trump did to actually, that was a good thing. It's too early right now with this fire thing to do that. You know what I mean? You're still in the middle of the crisis. You can't be in the middle of the crisis and then turning around and trying to provide a full throated or a full assessment of what it took to actually remedy it. You know, we're still too early in this.
It happens, but again, I will go back to the point of it happens every year. They know what to expect.
No, but
And
this
you
hasn't
can,
happened every year. LA hasn't burned like this every year. There's been other fires,
I,
and the proof that the policy or the it's been happening every year. But obviously, every year the fires have been getting put out, right?
absolutely agree with you on that
So
one.
that meant the Democrat policies. I call them Democrat policies because you said that means the policies were working.
We're
However,
working, absolutely. I agree with you.
so this is the one year where
Yep.
it went beyond what the policies in place
Because
were
they
able
cut
to.
the budgets. The
No,
one year
no,
that they cut the budgets. Yes, just research it. I have the
no,
sources.
no. So
MSNBC right here in front of me. I wouldn't lie to you. It's the 1 year
MS.
that they cut the budgets.
Okay. Well, we're gonna agree to disagree on that. I'll just leave it at you had too many variables, like you were suggesting Trump had during the pandemic. You had too many variables in this situation as well that you're just basically dismissing, and you're just limiting. Oh well, if they would have had those fire trucks and the water in the hydrants, none of this would have happened. And I say, that's kind of being myopic in sight, but it's your business, it's your prerogative. But I think the people who've listened to this conversation and that are paying attention, they see that there's a lot of hypocrisy going on your end as well. All right. Let me see.
All right, sounds good.
Let me see. Let me see who needs to come up here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I didn't know a lot of people wanted to come up here and talk to you. Look at that. Oh my goodness. You're. Let's start here, ladies and gentlemen. All right, my sister Cabria. Welcome.
On behalf of
Oh my gosh. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'll try to be. All right. How you doing, sis?
Good morning, Zeus. How are you?
I'm all right.
How
I'm
are
all
you?
right. I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm listening to Operation Exposed, and you saw how the conversation. Is there anything you want to run past them and see if he can, hopefully, get this right?
Sure. Okay. Operation Exposed. I live here in Southern California. Matter of fact, I'm about 2.5 to 3 hours from Los Angeles. All right. And I'm in the Santa Ana wind zones. All right. We're still having strong winds. Santa Ana winds are strong pretty much all the time, but this 100-mile-an-hour wind is something that we've never been through. Number one, and we still have high winds. Number two, let's look at the homes that were lost. A lot of these homes, when people move to California, they want these beautiful views, so they get these homes on the hillside. All right, so now imagine, if you will, you have fire hydrants strategically located, right? But because the fire was everywhere and it's uphill, the water starts losing pressure coming out of the fire hydrant. Now let's discuss the issue of infrastructure. The infrastructure, just like basically all of the United States, is old. All right. Now, if you remember the 2018 fire in Paradise, California, that's where a town of 26,000 people, that town was burnt to the ground. Now it's only like a third of the population. But one thing they are doing is now they're putting power lines underground.
There you go.
And that's something the United States should do overall, regardless whether you live in a fire zone, a hurricane, a tornado, whatever, because if these lines fall, right?
Yep.
They're going to cause a fire, or a person could be electrocuted, right? So there's number one. Number two or three. The next issue is California has housing standards. Because we live in an earthquake zone, a lot of homeowners, you should have your home earthquake proof, right? So your house should be built on a foundation where if it shakes, hopefully your house will stay intact.
Yeah.
In Los Angeles, where these homes were built, a lot of them, outside of being earthquake proof, they were not fireproof. A lot of the homeowners did not upgrade. So this is the reason why a lot of insurance companies would not insure these people. So you have to have your home upgraded. All right. Now, let's look at the dam issue. That's pretty ridiculous. I mean, come on. Here in Southern California, one of the dams we use is the Hoover Dam. And because of climate change, the Hoover Dam has drastically gone down. So, and
Wow.
that's supposed to supply Southern California, Nevada, and Arizona. Right. In term, there's a few other things. As I'm talking, it'll come into play. So you can't. Oh yeah, Karen Bass. Yes, she did cut 17 million for equipment, but she also tried to move that towards paying the fire department more pay.
Oh.
All right. So I was reading on that as you were discussing it with Zeus.
Thank you. Thank you,
Where did she move
Kabira.
these funds to? She wanted to see about getting these people more pay. All right.
W Kabira in the chat. Let's go. This is what we need. Operation, are you listening to my sister up here? I mean, this
I'm
is a good
listening. I'm waiting for it.
conversation.
I'm listening. I'm waiting for it.
So some of your points, let's look at Trump. And Zeus brought that up. He had the playbook, right? You have to remember, outside of the SARS, Obama, he contained, remember the Ebola that came to the United States? And it was spreading like wildfire in Africa. It came over here and it was curtailed to only 3. It was the response. But what did Trump do? He told us it would be over in April. It was a flu. He sent out misinformation. Yes, I give him all due respects to Trump for the
Operation Warp
C-19
Speed. Yes.
Warp Speed. But he talked about it so bad that even his own followers wouldn't take the vaccination. Remember? And he took the vaccination. He said, yeah, I took it. You guys take it. No. And so he shut up on that. See? Because he talked about it so bad and it was all fake and a hoax that he was half of the reason a lot of Americans lost their lives. The misinformation and the lying and the disinformation and tossing out the playbook. Now, were there some problems here with the fires? Yes. But before we go around getting in a circular fire squad and pointing fingers and blaming people, right? Let's get the facts before we just start putting out misinformation, which I find a lot of Republicans, you folks, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, you folks love to put out disinformation and make people look bad before all the facts are in. So far as Karen Bass taking that little trip, if I was her, I would have too. Who would have known that fire would have broke out with 100-mile-an-hour winds, because we're always under a wind advisory here. Always. So is your life supposed to stand still? Because I get phone calls all the time from Edison telling me that because of the winds, we will lose power. In the past week, I've lost power about 4 times because of the winds. Do you understand? So if you don't live here in this condition, right, you really can't speak on it. What I will say is let's wait before we and get all the facts before we just start putting out what we want to put out to fit our narrative.
Thank you.
As Zeus said, you folks never cared about California before. Never in a million years. Now all of a sudden this fake outrage and you really don't care about us, because with this fake outrage you're talking about us still, right? And what you have to remember is California, believe it or not, has been a swing state. When we moved to California in 1967, it was a red state. Right? Then we went to a blue state.
Blue.
Then we went back to a red state.
Wow, red.
Then we went back to a blue state.
Swinging.
Then we were a red state for a while. We were swinging. And now we've been a blue state for, I would say, 10 or 15 years. Because you have to remember, we had Pete Wilson and we had Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I voted for Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm not going to lie. I liked his policy.
Well, he was the Terminator. Hey, lady, she said swinging, but not that kind of swinging. Keep it clean. Sorry.
Exactly.
They out here.
So before you go around ditching on California, let's get the facts, okay? Because all you know, California is a blue state, but we swing back and forth.
That part.
Who knows? In 10 years, we may be a red state again.
Amen. Tell them. We just want to be taken care of like every other state at the end of the day. Now, Operation Exposed, that was impressive. You listened to that entire... You listen to everything. Anything you would like to push back on? Because as far as I'm concerned, not only did the plane land, but the people have departed, gotten off the airplane and they're heading towards the terminals.
So
picking up my baggage.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. So I started taking notes in the middle, so forgive me if I missed a couple points here. But so with regards to the vaccine. I know you said that he talked bad about the vaccine. I would like to know what he said bad about the vaccine. The only thing I could think of is he said
No,
it's your choice. He said if you want
no,
to take it,
no,
take it. If
no.
you don't, you don't.
I didn't say he talked bad about the vaccine. I
I
said
promise you,
he
you did.
talked bad about COVID-19,
No, no, I
that
promise
the
you. You said he
people.
talked bad about the vaccine. Swear to
No,
God.
no, no. Like I told you, I give him praise for Operation Warp Speed, and I took the vaccine, right? But he even told the people to take the vaccination because he took it. But his MAGA, because he had built them up into it was going to be over in April. Take ivermectin, drink bleach, use ultraviolet light in the body. Maybe we can kill it like that with a good disinfectant. You remember all this? It's just the flu. And why do we have to wear masks? You don't have to wear a mask. Nah. He went on and on and on. And most of MAGA, and there were some Democrats, fell by the wayside, and maybe they're meeting their maker now. I don't know where they are in their afterlife. All right. But he talked so bad about C-19 that people did not want to take the vaccination because there were rumors there was chips in the vaccination and it's gonna mess with your hormones and you'll grow hair out of your toes and all kind of crazy madness, right?
But
And,
that
Now
yeah,
that was you
he never said
people.
that though.
and he's
No,
talking
I didn't.
about defunding schools that implement a vaccine mandate. So I believe, because I'm looking it up as well, his remarks, honestly, wouldn't you say it caused confusion about whether or not people should get vaccinated?
Like, give me an example of his remarks.
Well, I talked about the ones where he said that he's going to cut funding for anyone that's implementing a vaccine mandate, right? So that means he's aware that there is a narrative out there about that. You know, we had the link between the vaccine and autism going on, right? Um, Even when, and this is just me going off of my memory, when he contracted the virus, he really didn't come out and openly advocate for getting vaccinated, even though he was pushing Operation Warp Speed, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
And
he didn't.
and
Yeah,
and as Kabira said, he was suggesting throughout the pandemic, you know, you can hit the body with the light, you know, ivermectin, and so there's been all of this confusion from a lot of the people that support him about whether or not, and I think even to this day, a lot of people don't think the vaccine's a good thing.
but in
You
all
know,
reality, for example, the ivermectin, right? It came out to be true. It does help with
no,
COVID
no,
dramatically.
no, no. That's a horse tranquilizer. You know, this guy I work with, right? I was on a project in Oregon, and that's when the ivermectin came out. He goes, "Hey, that'll be." I looked at him like he was a damn fool. I said, "Dude, that's for farm animals." I said, "You go ahead and you can take you some ivermectin if you want to." And a couple of people did, and they got sick from it.
Do
I said,
not
"You can
take
do it if you want
ivermectin,
to."
ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to put that out there. Do not do that, and do not inject the body with disinfectant.
See, the thing is, this is the thing, right? If you have a toothache, are you going to go to a plumber? If you need your knee replaced, are you going to go to a carpenter? No, you're going to go to a doctor. All right. So I don't know why mostly MAGA and people like RFK, they have a problem with science, right? So I look at it like this, and I'm not trying to get religious here, but I will. God created all things. He also created people and people that have higher learning that can become doctors and scientists. So I suggest to you, Mr. Operation, that next time you get sick, go to see a policeman
Oh,
and have him remove your appendix.
oh, we
You
wouldn't do
understand
that.
that these doctors and scientists are here for a reason, right? And if they say don't do it, don't do it. But you listen to your dear leader, and you people were taking ivermectin. Some people even drank bleach, believe it or not, and they died from. Oh, excuse me, and they unalived from it.
Yeah.
But you guys have to admit, did he say that? Yes, but there's no way you guys really think he was serious about that. Like he was, there was like
Oh,
satire behind
I
that
didn't
comment.
believe it. I didn't believe it.
I
But
didn't.
MAGA, you guys will believe anything this man tells you, and that's the
Well,
scary part.
You got
I
to
didn't,
admit that.
but I didn't drink. I didn't drink. What's it called bleach. So I
Disinfectant.
didn't. So I didn't believe him. So
Okay,
not
you
all of
didn't.
us, right?
You didn't, but there are a lot of low
I
information
don't know you
sources
didn't
out
know.
there.
I don't know you didn't. Now that you said that, the way you said that, I don't know. How do I know you didn't? You didn't
Well,
just at least put it
if
to your
I
lips and go like that?
no, if I don't you think if I drink bleach, then I wouldn't be here talking to you today?
Well, if you do too much
I
of
don't
it, but
know.
maybe you did a little lick on the lips kind of thing,
Or
And then,
actually,
okay.
and you might be right. Maybe that's why a little bit like cuckoo.
Maybe you diluted it with water or Seven
Yeah.
Up. I have no
But
idea.
for the sake of this show, ladies and gentlemen, do not do that. All right, do not do it. And what Kabira is saying is, you might not have, and it seems like you know when Trump is joking and when he's not joking. But a lot of people take him very serious, and the rhetoric, right? That's very harmful to his supporters. But they listen to him anyway, because
So,
Democrats aren't doing it. It's not us going around listening to him.
so the
Well,
only thing I'll say to you, young man, is this: before you discuss anything else about your feelings about what's happening here in Southern California, wait for all the information to come out. Like I say, we're experiencing high winds right now. The winds were so bad a few years back, it blew my roof up, and I ended up having to get another roof. The winds are bad out here. We even have what they call a hubla, which are sandstorms. We see dust devils periodically around here. So just get the information first, and then after you get all your information, then make a formative opinion. You won't make yourself look like a MAGA.
Thank
At
you.
least you'll be
so
informed.
so just want to touch on one thing. I know you say Karen Bass. You would have went to Africa. Who would have known that these fires were going to come, right? But in all reality, and it's all over the news, the sources, including left-wing sources, saying that she was warned that fires were imminent and they were about to break out due to the weather conditions. Okay,
Wait,
and
so wait a minute. How do you know a fire is imminent? Unless you have an arsonist,
Mhm.
how do you know a fire? It's not like we know a hurricane or a
Right.
tornado is imminent, right? How do you know if a fire, unless someone is intentionally lighting a fire? Let's
Okay,
be logical.
good question. I'll answer that for you. So same exact reason, even though you think that they're not related, right? That same exact reason how you know a hurricane or a tornado is imminent. How? Because of weather conditions. That's how you know. Weather
But you
conditions
need
that.
a spark. You need a spark for a fire, sweetheart.
Okay, so here, I don't listen. I'm not a fire expert. What I
Thank
am an
you.
expert in is researching this, and I'm telling you sources, every source, literally including left wing, that Karen Bass was told that fires are imminent due to weather conditions. How?
Okay,
What's the
but
what's
once
the
again,
technicality or the science behind it? I couldn't tell you. I could find out for you, but I
once
can't tell you.
again, do you know the what you need to create combustion? Right?
Hmm.
You need oxygen, right? You need a source and you need flame,
Yeah.
right?
Fuel.
So you can have oxygen, but where was the source? Where was the source to produce the combustion? Where was the source? It's like right now we're under a fire watch. So what am I supposed to do? The wind is blowing. The skies are clear. What am I supposed to do? Run outside and start hosing my house down? I mean, it's no fire until they say it's a fire. So it's not
Operation.
like a weather pattern. You
Yeah.
understand? It's not like you can predict a fire. You cannot unless there's a spark for a
Yeah.
fire.
I mean, there's fire danger everywhere. You
Listen,
just can't use that, like Kabira said. So she should have been sitting at her desk, just waiting for that spark. Nothing else.
no,
That's because why
no.
why
What she
why
should
be
have done
so
is,
hard on this woman? I mean,
I'll
y'all,
tell you.
she's gotten in the office, and it's just been an onslaught of she's terrible, and when we really drill down into this situation, it just doesn't seem like there's not anyone that you could have put into that position that could have predicted this thing and turning into what it turned into. No one could have predicted it would have done this.
But I'll
Okay,
tell you this: she didn't do what Ted Cruz did when Texas had that freeze over and they had no heat. She didn't leave town and head to Cancun. She came back and she stood here with her people.
Amen.
so
And
I
we're
know
not
you
going to
said
give those
what.
cameras the interviews. You catch her on camera getting off flight. This
Mhm.
woman is trying to get to the place of where she needs to start helping folks, and y'all want to play politics. This is some sick stuff that the folks on the right are doing, and that's why I say this country, we're in a lot of trouble if y'all don't wake up out of this fog. But what were you going to say?
So you said what is she supposed to do? Just wait around? No, she's supposed to prepare. I think that's where you guys. I think we're
Well,
lacking some accountability.
we do have preparations here in Southern California. I haven't lived in Northern California in about 18 years. That's my home base. I've moved down here to Southern California, but we do have plans for earthquakes and fires, especially out here where I live because it's so dry. We do.
I mean,
And so you can't say that we don't have them, but it goes back to what I was saying earlier, right? The system in place, it's limited. And it's not just here in California. I would imagine any city in this country, they have fire departments, they have police departments, right? And those systems, they got a limit. Once the limit is exceeded, then you got to go to the next step in the plan. And that's what you're dealing with right now.
And see, you have to remember one thing about Los Angeles. They, when I was listening last week, one of the officials, I forget who it was, he said, well, if we taxed more to do the infrastructure, so now, people don't want more taxes. You people that don't live in California say, you guys pay so much in taxes. Well, you're going to have to tax more if you want this different type of infrastructure. And Americans overall, they want things to stay the same. They do not want to progress. If you were to tell the average American, and you could take Texas and Florida, for example, hey, let's raise your state tax to 10% so we can get your power lines underground. So if we have a freeze over again, we'll still have electricity and you'll have heat, right? Oh no, we want to live free. We don't want no taxes. But see, this is what our tax dollars, provide for.
Amen.
So now what they have to decide in the Los Angeles area, like they did in Paradise, that they're rebuilding, they're putting the power lines underground. So does LA want to do that? And that's for the residents in LA County, if they want to pay that extra dollar to get these power lines or whatever they have to do to upgrade, because these are tax dollars, right? So the tax dollars even went to pay the firemen more, even though it stopped the equipment that they needed.
So you admit that their equipment that they needed wasn't ready. Do you admit that?
Yeah, I told you at the beginning of the conversation. It was
Okay, so
equipment
do you think?
or pay the firemen more, and the firemen wanted their more pay.
Wait. Time out. You think that that firemen are the ones that made the decision? You think they
No,
asked the
no, no.
firemen, do you guys want more pay or do you guys want some money into your equipment?
You know what? Everybody wants more pay, even to their own detriment.
Okay, but
Now you tell me I'm lying.
Operations.
No,
Come
no,
on
you're
now.
not lying. I just don't. California is the 5th largest economy in the
That's
world,
true.
right?
I understand.
Okay, so now. Don't tell me that they had a choice of whether they wanted to they wanted to pay the fire department more or have their fire trucks fixed. Like they could have done both easily, no ifs, ands, or buts.
How?
Okay,
If
so
the
we can't.
budget is limited.
There's no way you guys can say
You
that.
have,
Number one.
but look, she
Here, hold
cut
on. Number
17
two.
million. She
Okay.
cut 17 million, right? This was supposed to go towards their pay, right? Now, granted, should they have upgraded some of the systems in place? Yes, I give that to you. But we as a people, when I say we as a people, I just mean human beings like MAGA. We look out after our own interests. I want more money. You guys fell for the bit. Lord, eggs were $2, gas was $1, and no taxes. And this, after he won the election, this man ran off on a tangent on Panama.
So can I give you an example? And I think this is like one of the biggest examples. 117 million gallon water source, okay, was in the Palisades, was emptied months before the fires broke out. Now ask yourselves, typically when do fires in California?
Hold on. Let me look that up.
Go for
Look
it.
that up, Zeus.
CBS News.
117 what?
Just say 117 gallon water source. Just do 117 gallon. You'll find a bunch of articles on Google. 117 gallon.
Okay.
Now, ask yourselves, why would they? Why do it 2 months prior to fire season? Why would you do that? It's just the biggest reservoir.
It said the reservoir was closed for repairs after a covering tour, which is designed to preserve water quality. The reservoir status may have limited water systems' ability to provide consistent pressure for firefighters. Water supply reservoirs are typically designed to cope with house fires, not wildfires. This situation has made it clear that larger scale solutions are necessary. So I think that puts that to rest, right?
That puts that
When
bed, that puts that puppy
again
to
and
rest.
again and
So
again, so it to me it goes back to these other variables that contributed to this situation. You got so many things happening, and the wind coming in at the right speed at the right time, the mayor out, it's just the perfect condition for something like this to happen, and
but
that's
we
to
can say
me
that
what
about the
happens
COVID
in
too, though.
life, huh?
But we can say that about COVID as well, though, right?
Yeah, but the thing was, back in October
No.
of 2018, Trump was briefed on C-19. He was briefed on it, baby. Because I remember I was in Burbank, California,
Yeah.
back in January 2019, and I worked for GE, right? And our customer service leader came to all the management and he said, listen, there's something going
Oh my
on out
god.
here, and it's C-19.
Yeah.
He goes, we're trying to figure it out and how we're going to move our people and have them work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But we needed to let you guys know. We're not going to let the guys know yet until we get more information. So keep this on. And that was in January 2019. And I knew. So if I know, and I'm just a lonely person here in America, the president knew, but he hid it from us.
And
And then
yeah,
he said it was no big thing.
and I'm not going to liken it to C-19 because what Kabir just said, he spread a lot of misinformation about what was really happening throughout the entire pandemic and even to this day. So it's not the same thing. But now that we've put that to bed, because listen, we've had quite a conversation, right?
Yeah.
I think it's time to move forward and say, where are we at, Operation Expose? Are you ready to stop blaming the Democrats for this or not? Because we got to make decisions. You've been real civil. You've been real civil. Are you ready to admit that it's not the Democrats that should be blamed for this now?
Can I be honest with you? My opinion, you might not believe me when I tell you this. I don't like the Ted Cruzes of the world. I don't like, and I'm not even exaggerating. Maybe 90% of Republican politicians I hate because I know they're for themselves, just like the Democratic politicians. I don't like politicians. I hate them. That's why I love Trump, because he's different. He's not a politician. He actually, I'm being that serious. Listen to me. I know it might sound crazy and it's hard for everyone to understand, but he doesn't care. He does this. So here's where my thing is. He doesn't do it for himself. Okay, he doesn't get
Okay.
paid by the big
Okay.
corporations. I'll give you an example.
Enough
Hold
of
on. Let me give you an example.
misinformation.
Hold on. Let me give you an example.
Operation.
He got. Listen to me for 1 second. Who would continue for 1 second? Let me answer this question for me. I know you guys think he's a narcissist, right? Okay.
Did
Who
you
would
say he doesn't do
continue?
it for himself?
No, and I'll tell you. Let me explain. I'll give you one example, and then you
Okay,
tell me. You
okay,
can reflect
and
this, and I'll
I
shut up.
got we got to make decisions in here real
Okay.
quick. So you
I'll
know
make
where
it.
this is
I'll make it
headed.
real quick. I'll make it real quick.
If you get this
Who?
wrong, I got to do the lake of fire
No,
to
it's an
you.
opinion. It's opinion. I'm going to ask you for your
He
opinion. It's
wants
not even
it.
about right or wrong.
Go for
My
it.
question is, who would go in, or who would, after an assassination attempt against his life, who in their right mind that was at the center of an assassination attempt continue to fight for being the president of the United States?
Well,
Oh,
if you wanted that position, you would. I'll bring it
okay,
on a smaller scale. When Martin Luther King,
okay.
right, before he was assassinated, a
I
woman
got this.
stabbed
Go for
him
it.
in the chest.
Right, right.
He recovered and he still continued with his mission.
Okay.
So that's nonsense. That doesn't make you a hero. That just makes you a person that wants to do what they need to do. And I'm gonna get ready to go. But Zeus, I want to bring this back to the topic.
Okay.
And this
And
young
that's why
man
Martin
said if
Luther
his
King is known
woman
as one of the
cheated.
great ones, right?
Well,
That's
hold
why
on
he's
one
known as
Hold
one of
on.
the greatest ones.
Hold on 1 second. This young man said if his girlfriend cheated on him, he would pray and give her forgiveness. Listen, I am a woman and I know men. If a man found out his woman had slept with another man, because he looks at her as that's mine. You know what I'm talking
They're
about.
they're
And you gave,
possessive.
yeah, you gave my stuff away. Oh, he not only will he probably knock her teeth out, but
Oh,
he's gone. He's
oh,
gone. He's gone. And if a
oh,
woman found out her man cheated on her, women are more sympathetic. Well,
oh,
but Johnny said he won't do it again, and so I'm gonna take Johnny for his word. I know because I've been there, right? I've been
oh.
stupid like that. But as we grow older, we wise up. And so, what this guy is, right? Did you ever see the movie Fences with Denzel Washington? And so he has this
Talk to
baby out of wedlock with his
Okay.
and the
Oh.
woman unalive during childbirth, and he had to bring home this baby to his wife he had been married to for about 20 something years, and she
Ooh.
told him, I want you to know you don't have a woman anymore, but this baby, she's gonna have a mother. I got nothing for you. So with that said, Keith Hefsek, whatever his
Hesek.
name is,
Pete
yeah,
Hesek.
he
Yeah.
cheated on his wife, had a woman out of wedlock. Come on now.
Come on now.
That's a lot to suck in.
But
So-
here's the thing, though. All politicians have had a bad past. You
Oh,
understand that,
you
though?
can't say all politics.
I'm sorry,
Operation
you're right. Okay. Not all.
Operation
A lot of them. A
Exposed.
lot of
Guess
them.
what?
A lot of them.
Zeus has to move on, brother. You gotta go to the lake of fire because I need you to honestly. You did a lot better, but you're still wrong.
Just don't let me burn for a long time. Do it for a
Okay,
short
all right, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, we got to move on. All right, Operation Exposed has been fully exposed to be possessed with the MAGA demon. We went through a serious conversation about fires. He didn't get it, and he still thinks it's acceptable to cheat on his wife because guess what? Other politicians do it. Ladies and gentlemen, Operation Exposed. You sound like a great person, but not with the MAGA demon.
Silence, you MAGA.
I will give it to
demon.
him. He did quite the dance, showing that he could contain that demon in that box, right, Kabira?
Oh yes, he did. You know what? I'd take him to the dance too, and then I'd have to expose him.
Woo! Listen, I want to thank you for bringing that knowledge and expertise up here and helping them understand. There's a lot more to this than just what Donald Trump says. All right.
Yeah, they take it and run with it. But I'm gonna let you go, Mr. Zeus, because I
All
know
right.
you got a show to do.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen. W. Kabira in the chat. No lies detected. That's what I like to see, ladies and gentlemen. Great, just great, respectful dialogue. That's all I'm looking for. All right. And we'll move on to the next guest, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Let's move it along. All right. Let's bring up my next guest, my sister Takesha. Welcome, Takesha. Thank you, Kabira. Nice. Operation Exposed, please. This is the feedback time because I know a lot of people heard what you said, and we're gonna try to hear from everybody. All right, that was a good conversation. Hi, Takesha. Takesha, are you there? Yes. Talk to him. What did you hear? I started the show off talking about women that are dating, men that voted for Trump and women that voted for Trump. They've lost all of their moral integrity, and then as you can see, we spent a lot of time talking about the California wildfires. What was that about?
Zeus,
Mm-hmm.
Zeus. I meant to take my request back because Operation was up there so long, he just really bored me to death. Because he didn't get nothing anybody said.
Wow.
So at the moment, I'm just too tired to even talk, Zeus. I'm just
Fair
too
enough.
tired to talk. Go and bring somebody else up, baby.
W Takesha in the chat. Operation Exposed. You see what you've done. Oh my God. You are wearing folks out. Who do we got next, ladies and gentlemen? Deluxe Brand 313. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. This is our first time talking. I've never met you before.
Yeah, I was, you know what? I just came across your profile, and so I started listening, like what I
Okay.
heard, and followed you.
Oh, thank you so much, Deluxe Brand. All right. Well, what did you think about what you heard?
Well, I think that a lot of times what I notice about people that support Donald Trump, when you make a point that they can't argue, they completely skip over the point you made and then they start talking about something else. And so they never sit in that point. They never, say, you know what, that's a good point that you made. I never thought about it like that. They completely dismiss it and then they start to talk about something else. And that's what I don't like about them because they want to point the finger at Democrats so hard. But when something is right in front of their face about the Republican Party, they just overlook it.
Bingo. Listen, Deluxe Brand 313. You are spot on. Why do you think they do that? Because I don't know if you tuned in. When I first started this show, I went deep. They like to talk policy. And I said, you know what I said to them? I said,
You don't mind if I go off teleprompter for a second, do
right?
you?
I said, you don't mind if I go off teleprompter, all right? And I said, Do you think the women who are supporting this guy Pete Hegseth, and they had the Senate confirmation hearing yesterday, and they basically said it's okay to cheat on your it's okay for your husbands to cheat on you. Do you think that's acceptable in your world?
I mean, but that's betrayal. I mean, when you go before God and you commit your life to someone, and they you find out that person is deceiving you behind your back, that's betrayal, and so you have to question everything at that point. So no, it's okay.
But do you think the women who voted for Trump, they've taken away their ability to stand up for themselves if their husband cheats on them? Because after all, they voted for a man that, cheated on them, right? They're appointing people in Congress that cheats on their wives and has children with other women. How does that make sense? Could you at least help them understand they've put themselves in a bad situation? And I tried to make that what the show was about, but they kept wanting to bring up the wildfires. It's so strange.
Well, I think that when you accept certain things, you accept those things because you think that it's not going to affect you. What's that poem that says, "When they came for you, I said nothing. When they came for others, I still said any. I still did not say anything. And when they
Correct.
got to me, it was no one there to defend me. So they think that it's not going to affect them because most women that voted for Trump are white women, or white. I would say white passing women. And so they think that in this new world that we're headed into, that the system is not going to affect them. But when their rights are stripped away, they're going to be like, just like with a lot of white women who decided to vote for Kamala Harris, they only voted for her because Roe v. Wade was overturned. And that's when they had an awakening. Now, to other women who still have not seen the light yet, they're going to see it soon because they're going to eventually come for something that they want also.
Yeah. I mean, this is to me all valid arguments that you're making, and my hope is that they get out of this situation, right? That they've put themselves in terms of, I would say they've basically made themselves smaller in the relationship because now they know that now their partner now their man knows you voted for this guy who does
Which I
this.
don't get because when you look at history teaches us things that we could look, we can go back and we can study and we can learn from. But a lot of women, I don't understand how they would vote for their rights to be taken away when we just got rights to have credit cards in our names.
Hey man,
homes in our names.
Tell them.
I was born in the 80s. And right before I was born in the 80s, in the 70s, women were just allowed to have a freaking credit card or a bank account in their name. So I don't get it.
Ladies, any women out there that voted for Donald Trump, listen, I've been really trying to hear from y'all. If y'all could at least come up here and make this make sense for all of us, that would be real great. All right. We're trying to figure out how you got yourselves into a nasty situation with your rights now. You don't even want to be free. They don't want to be free. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and then they're falling for this bro stuff like, oh, manly men. And yeah, manly men that's going to go upside your head. Manly men that are going to tell you what you can and can't do, that are going to dictate in your own home what you can and can't. Is that what we're signing back up for that? Really, women? Like, seriously.
Tell them.
Like, we're going back to the things that are, and the reason why men are, not all men, but the ones that support Trump, the reason why they support him is because they see something in them that he exemplifies. Like something about Trump, they see within themselves, and so if they're telling themselves,
the women see that, and when they see Trump, they see that in themselves.
No, men do, and
Okay.
so men have got together. These men, they all got look at that.
Even the black men that voted for him
Even
too.
the black men. Remember the text thread that they just recently found out about that had 77,000 plus men talking about horrible things that they would do to women or have done to women. So it goes all back to, men feeling like women have gotten too much power. We're too independent now. They want us to go back to when our grandparents, my grandmother, listen, my grandfather was a great man, but he had his demons, and sometimes he will overdrink. And when
he was a Rolling Stone.
Well, no, he wasn't a Rolling Stone, but he will overdrink. He was a great provider, but he had his vices, and one of his vices was drinking, and then that would lead to some physical abuse. Now, women back in the day, they just tolerated it. They dealt with it. They stayed in those relationships. That's what they want us to go back to.
That's bizarre. I don't get it. Why go back to that? And it was something y'all fought hard to get out of. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. Is it that they really, because you know what I like to say, there's some misogyny and then there's some racism when they saw Kamala. Is it really the hatred towards Kamala Harris and the Democrats that would fuel someone to go vote to do something that they know is ultimately going to be more harmful to themselves? It just
Just like you
blows
were
my
saying,
mind.
just like you were saying about the fires, it was a combination of things. It was the combination of things that led to Trump being reelected. It was the um, a lot of white people feel in fear of their race being the minority.
Yeah.
That played a lot into it. Or women, just hating on a black woman. They said everything about her. They said she wasn't educated. She couldn't speak. All the things that was obviously not true. They said those things about her. And in our reality, those were things that they should have said about Donald Trump.
You hear that? Listen, you're spot on. And listen, what would you like to say to the women that are listening that voted for Donald Trump and they're too afraid to come up here? Any words for them before I move on to our next guest? Any words for these folks?
I would just say believe what your eyes see and your ears hear. And if you see things that are not right in this next administration, God, I mean, we better hope and pray we have a midterm to in order to try to put Democrats in power, in order to balance DC. But if not, I mean, it's too late. And so we're all gonna go down, just like they say, Babylon the Great will fall. We're gonna all go down with Babylon.
Deluxe brand 313. Listen, I had to give you a follow. All right, you need to be. I hope that you come on back here. All right, and continue to minister to these people out here because their souls need to be saved and they don't know it. All right, but more truth like that, ladies and gentlemen. Again, W for the W's in the chat. This is what we're talking about. WD Lux. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, she's awesome. See, this is why I do this show. I love hearing different perspectives, different opinions about things that matter. All right. Good morning, my good friend Ange. Long time no see. How are you doing?
Right? I'm okay. How are you? Well, I have a cold, but I'm okay. Other than that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm doing all right. What a show we've had today. I mean, I've had
Seriously,
the
wow.
guest performing. I was honestly impressed. He was containing himself. That's impressive, but still wrong. So
He typically does not, so we'll give him a little credit for that.
yeah,
He still got Lake of Fire for a few minutes, right?
yeah.
Okay. And anyhow, so this Pete Hegseth thing, and they're talking about how it's going to go through, and all of this conduct that they're talking about, this sexual conduct with him. I don't know if you discussed this yet. I had something. Oh, I was going to try to bring something up. Dang
Go
it.
for it. Go for it. You want to bring up something around the behavior of Pete Hegseth?
Well, it's just this rule that I found. I don't know if it will fit in here, but we'll give that a
I
whirl.
see it.
Okay, so it's it's a code of military justice. And the examples of the offenses covered by this is in Article 134. And we've got a little bit of sexual misconduct, infidelity. I'm not sure if that part was in there, but I read the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he's committed all of these thus far that go right against the military code of justice.
It says this includes adultery. It says examples of offenses covered by Article 134, sexual misconduct or schmexual. This includes adultery, solicitation, and acts with a commanding officer's subordinate, and fraternization. This is when an officer and an enlisted person fraternizes on terms of military equality.
Now, if you take his behavior thus far, he kept, what was it he kept saying yesterday? Smears? That they were smears or whatever?
Yeah. That's what they like to say. They like to use wrap up smear stuff to try to justify how they became the victim of, accusations. They like to make themselves professional victims.
Yeah, I'll still go with alleged, but that was a bunch of bull. We all know that he did this. So now he's going to be head of the Department of Defense, and he's committed these things. Committed all of them. He had a baby with the wife he's with now, I believe, while he was still married or something. I lose track. There are 3 or 4 wives and multiple children. I lose track. Not trying to judge on that, but anyhow, and why? I want to know why these are the questions he got from the Republicans. Can you do push-ups? Like those are questions. Can you do push-ups? That's what they're going to ask him. We had, the Democrats did a pretty good job of grilling him, but then you just get to the Republicans and it's like, did you do push-ups? When my son went in the service, just going into boot camp, they had people going around and asking questions to his teachers, our neighbors.
Really?
Yes, some friends, local police, his basketball coach. And this is him just going into the Navy, into boot camp. And now this man wants to be the head of the Department of Defense. Wow. And he's getting asked if he can do freaking push-ups.
It's incompetence.
This is embarrassing for our country. I don't care what you say, MAGA. If the shoe were on the other foot, you would be as embarrassed as we are. This is embarrassing.
But they've taken their ability to be calling Democrats out. This is what I say. How are you going to call us out when you are supporting people that do these things, right? You can't call people out for committing crimes. You can't call people out for being immoral. You can't call people out for being incompetent anymore.
Well, and they're talking about, the senators did it, this, that, and the other thing. I don't know, probably some of them have. But they're not being nominated for this.
Bingo.
That's not what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So these questions are very important because he could definitely, look, he's done all of those already.
Yeah.
Allegedly, okay? And I also know a young lady who went in to the service, and she was deployed. She was deployed, and while she was over there, she was essayed by her commanding officer.
Wow.
And when she got back, she reported it. And you know what they did? They made her life a living hell. They didn't believe her, and they made her life a living hell. And she went MIA, and they got her, and this led to a path of, sadly, drugs, and then an OD. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Wow.
And it all started. In my opinion, you do make the choices. But this young lady, she was my daughter's best friend.
Wow.
That's where it started.
Wow.
And this is what's happening. This is what's happening in the service. We can thank our servicemen and women, absolutely, but they are not perfect. And now you've got some pig like this who's supposed to be the example.
Get him, man. Tell him.
I could say more, but I want to swear, so I will not.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this is the example they have, and we've already are dealing with essays and the service. And like I said, I still thank my servicemen and women. And I know you're not all that, but they're not perfect.
They're not perfect. Yeah, but we got to at least have standards. And I think that's the thing that I'm trying to get across to these folks out here that are supporting Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth and all these other people that are, unqualified and totally immoral. Once we lower the standards, all bets are off. All bets are off.
You can't get any lower than this, in my opinion. Zeus.
Thank you.
But anyway, thanks for having me up.
No problem. Ange in the chat. No lies detected. Billy Buckeye. Don't make me summon you to the box, Billy Buckeye. Watch it. Zip it. All right? Because unlike you, look at that, Billy Buckeye. No strings attached. I am not a hand puppet. Nobody's paying me to get up here and give this free information to you. I ought to make you send me one of those gifts that TikTok, has available. Won't you do that, Billy Buckeye, right? Because obviously you don't value the knowledge and information that's coming out of this show, this platform. Because if you did, honestly, you'd change your name. Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I don't need to even bring him up. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what I want to do? Billy Buckeye comes to my live every day. He listens and hears the truth. And instead of actually applying it and using it to become a better person, he somehow managed to do something very incredible. He's actually made himself even a worse person. He's worse than he was when I first met him, even though he knows the truth. So what I'll do is this. Billy Buckeye, this one's for you, big baby. Ladies and gentlemen, let's send him straight to hell. I don't really care.
Silence, you MAGA demon.
If you're not happy here, then you can leave. As far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, if you're not happy here, you can leave.
All right. Hi, brother Swerve. How you doing, my
Good
good
morning,
friend?
my brother. I hope you are well. I hope the
Yeah, yeah,
children
yeah.
are well.
Yeah, we're well. We're well. We're just
Good
rocking
morning to
and
Mama
rolling.
Zeus.
Hey, good morning, and Mama Zeus.
So I was listening to that other guy, and he had all this energy for what was going on in California. But I guarantee you, if you got him back up on your panel, Zeus, he would not have any energy for what happened in North Carolina in 2017 when the governor requested $900 million to rebuild after a hurricane, and Donald Trump only gave him like 1.2 or 1.3 million. I
Right.
guarantee you, he's got no energy for the Donald Trump administration diverting $271 million from FEMA.
He did that?
He specifically took $271 million from FEMA's budget and diverted it to immigration and the border wall. I think he doesn't have any energy for that. You know, he wants to go and research all these things, but he won't research anything on his own candidate. And that's what bothers me about these Maze.
Telling the truth. He's telling the truth. That's why the dog's mace is getting active. That's what happens.
I said Trump, and she kind of goes ballistic when she hears his name.
There you go. She's doing the right thing. Got to protect the owner.
So it just amazes me how they have all these energy. You know, to sit there and say rake the forest. You're basically saying you don't care about California. Okay, that's what you're saying. In a nutshell. When you sit there and you say things like I know you and I think it was Cabrera.
Yeah.
Who was fantastic, by the way.
Yeah.
They sit there and they talk about CV19 and what he did, and he wasn't listening to her. What he was listening for, he was waiting on his gotcha moment. So you agree with me when I say they cut this budget, or you agree with me? No. Donald Trump talked so badly about CV19 and how it was the Democratic hoax. That was the biggest thing. It was a Democrat hoax. And then when the vaccine finally came out and his own people booed him, he literally said, well, I guess you'll find out when you're unalive. Wow. Right? And they still refuse to take it. Now, I don't care if you take the vaccine or not at this point. I really don't. Okay? Because I got no time for these mouth breathers, the toilet seat lickers, these Trump pumping.
Hey! W Erica, W Swerve, let's go.
That they come with this asinine garbage and they don't research anything on their own candidate.
Yeah.
Zeus, I'm sorry, brother. I got to cut it short. My in-home health aide is here.
Okay, all right. There you go. Well, listen.
Y'all be well. Y'all be safe, and doggone it, have fun while you're doing it. Thanks, Zeus, as always.
All right. W Swerve in the chat. No lies detected. Yeah, I mean, just piggybacking on where he left off, it's clear you don't got the same energy when Republican policies fail. None at all. When Republican policies fail, it's the Democrats. Then when they say Democrats policies fail, see? So it sounds to me like you believe the Democrats run everything in this country and the Republican Party has no ability at all. All right. Let's move on to the next panelist. All right. Who do we got right here? All right. British John Comedy. Welcome.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I am all right. How are you?
I'm surviving. That's all we can do at this point.
Absolutely.
We're trying to live our best days, and it's going to be interesting the next 4 years. Look, I normally do comedy, but this isn't a funny world we're in right now. And
go ahead, please explain, because some people say it is funny in a weird way. Some do say it in a weird way because you know how comedy works, right? Strange things happen for a reason.
Well, here's the irony. So I had I'll do real life for a moment. I came up in the comedy ranks during series 1 of Trump.
Oh.
And none of it, and I built some, MAGA material. Why did you want to be great again? I'm from a great country. We've had it in the name for thousands of years. Do you really want to boil your pizza?
That's funny. And that's funny because I get that. Boil your pizza. Wow.
Right, and this wasn't my best stuff. This was back when I was a baby in comedy.
Yeah, but it's still good. It's still good.
I like the wordplay.
Yeah.
And I thought, and I was really happy. I recorded. I never put it out because I knew it wasn't my best work. You might have this might happen to you in the studio. Sometimes you have something in you. You want to get it out. You record it.
Yeah.
You sit on it.
Mm-hmm.
You listen to it again. Like I liked it. It's good. It's not good enough.
Facts.
I don't. And
yeah, that happens all the time. That's part of the creative process, is what we say.
And so I can turn my camera. I was making sure I wasn't.
Look at that! We got a camera reveal. My man turned the camera on. See, this is when it's serious. Nice to meet you, champ. Let's go.
I'm in working dad mode, so bluey t-shirt. I'm just making sure that the company I work for, their logo's covered up. They might feel some way about this.
Well, you're doing it in good faith. They should understand, all right? And plus, they know you're a comedian, so they got to work with you on that.
Yes, unfortunately, when they did a background check, I made sure they didn't find out about me going viral for a joke about AB. So that's kind of like a.
We got to talk. How did you pull that off? That's an interesting skill set that you got there. A lot of people might need that, especially if they're looking for employment. So yeah.
Well, I'm sure we can cover that in a minute. Here's how the crazy the world is, though. I recorded it, and I'm very grateful to Patrick Ford at Alameda Comedy Club who let me record it there.
Okay.
And I didn't even clip it. I said, you know what, there's some good stuff here, but it's not my best work, and we'll work harder and make something better.
Mm-hmm.
And then ironically, I had a real blow up moment ironically, the guy who did the Puerto Rico joke.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, he happens to be a friend of mine.
Really?
In fact, yeah, the reason why it says British John down there is because he gave me that name by mistake.
Really?
I was on his show, and I'll do the joke for you in a second, but he didn't read out my actual name. When you go up, your name comes out of a bucket.
Yeah.
And it has your name and your social. And he couldn't read my handwriting, and so he just called out my social, British John.
Wow.
And then for the whole show, and 2 million people watched that. Well, I don't know if your mom and dad called you Zeus. Maybe they did.
Well, they've called here and there, but
But when someone calls you that, if 2 million people watch it, that's your name from now on. And
facts.
So
I get it. It's the court of public opinion weighing in, and at that point, it is what it is. Yeah. So you were it was out of your hands.
I came off stage. I went out onto 6th Street in Austin. I threw up because I knew I killed it. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
That word.
Unalived it. You unalived it. Yeah.
I called my wife. I apologized for being a complete asshole for the last 3 weeks.
Oh my God.
I'd been working on this bit so hard to the point where, she was well within her rights to unalive me.
Right.
Or in my case, deport me. I mean, she threatens to call ICE if I don't take the trash out.
Oh my God.
She knows what she's doing. And
smart, very smart.
And I bought the domain name British John. And I bought it there and then before I stepped back into the club.
Wow.
But yeah, I'll do you the bit. Good evening. This is the act. Let's get it out of the way. This is the accent you could have had. You all decided to go with a slightly gay John Wayne ordering avocado toast. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm keeping the mask. It's the solution to British dentistry we were praying for. I love this country more than you can imagine. I have an American wife and an anchor baby just in case. I want to apologize for the creases in my shirt. Very unprofessional, but I just got back from Texas and they made wire hangers illegal. And that was the whole.
Okay. See, that's a bit strong, don't you think? That's a strong joke. That's out there. That's out there.
Well, the crazy thing is,
that's out there. That's out there, bro. I mean, that's I can see why you might needed to hide that. If that's
that's the joke. That it was a later version. I did that.
Did you write that yourself?
I actually was on that show in Austin the day that Governor Abbott
Somebody
the
said
way-
that they're a Texan and they said that that's funny. See what America's going down. This country's in a terrible shape. You guys out there, are y'all okay? This country is going down a very dangerous path, a slippery slope with. But you know what? It is. We'll talk later. I'm so sorry. All right.
No. I wrote that. So this is the thing. The day I wrote that, I wasn't the joke I was going to do. I checked into the hotel, and this was the day that Governor Abbott signed the bill that would ultimately get rid of Roe v. Wade. It was that very day. That bill was signed 3 hours before I did that joke. Now, the version I did that night was slightly different. I said, I'm sorry about the creases in my shirt, but you're the ones that made wire hangers illegal. Fuck you.
Oh, and it got the strong language. Oh my God, British John.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Man, where do you find these jokes in the gutter somewhere? I mean, they're I could see the angle to it, but
the British accent.
Wow. I mean, I get it, but Lord have mercy. Now listen, John, I gotta move it on, brother.
I
All right.
apologize, sir.
But
I appreciate everything. But let me put a rep on this.
Okay, let's do it, because we're around that time.
Satire during the Second World War.
Mm-hmm.
The people weren't able to change things in Germany. They suffered terribly as well.
Right.
And the people that stood up to the gentleman with a mustache were the comedians, the satirists.
Oh.
They continue to belittle and undermine the regime's authority.
Got it. And that's necessary. I can see that. I can honestly see that angle, right? Because
it's essential.
Yeah.
Because somebody has to burst the bubble of pomposity. If you think that your defense secretary should be a drunk person who does horrible things to women, then we're going to have to keep calling that out. And people get bored of hearing.
Oh, you got a call. Did you get a call? We were there. I can't hear you.
I know. Bad time for a phone call to come in telling me that my car's ready to pick up.
Oh, that's good news, though. That's good news.
But but we have this opportunity to keep lampooning this man. I didn't want to have to write season 2 of
Got
Trump
it.
Jokes. Orange is the new red, white, and blue, by the way.
Right.
That's what my new special will be called. So I'm going to leave you with this, too. First of all, I'm going to say thank you for everything you've done. You have supported and given a platform to many of my non-comedy friends here on TikTok. And
Oh,
for
really?
that, I'm personally very
You know a lot of folks are on the. Okay, good.
they're all in the comments, and they're all incredibly
Got it.
very
Well-
supportive of me. And so I'm glad I got the chance to do this before this potentially. I hope it doesn't, but if it does, I'm glad to personally have a one-on-one. And I'll leave you with this, if I might, sir.
Fair enough.
Not everything is bad, and this was seen. I want you to know I'm against everything that Trump did, but part of me is happy about this. Sotomayor on your Supreme Court wrote in her dissenting opinion that future presidents would have the power of a king. I'm here for that. My plan is working. Make America Great Britain again.
Oh my God. I'm done. Now that was funny. That was funny because you started it off talking about making America great again and referencing Britain, and now we're back to that because now Trump gets pretty much to be a king. What a crazy world we now live in. I am done. I'm blown away. All right. British comedy, John. All right. British John comedy. Thank you so much. All right. And I hope the app doesn't go away, okay? Because you're good at what you do, all right? But those jokes are dark. Those jokes are some of them are dark. I haven't heard all of it, but some of those jokes they're very, very dark. All right. Maybe you can make some ones that are a little lighter. All right.
I'm ex-military intelligence. Unfortunately, darkness is where I live.
Fair enough.
Anyway,
Well, listen,
God
if you
bless
keep up,
sir. Thank you so
if
much
you
for
keep
all
making
you've
good
done for the whole
material,
community.
Oh, I think it's a delay. All right, no problem. British John comedy in the chat. No lies detected. Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we'll bring up one more, and then I got to get up out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Look at the time.
Hey.
Hi, Shay. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm good. How's everyone doing?
Oh my God. You know, what a show. What a show. I'm honestly looking forward to. I wanted to have a more intense conversation with Trump supporters, especially the MAGA women, on how they feel about Pete Hegseth, and they don't want to talk to me.
No, because you can't defend things like that. You just can't. All they can say is it's his pick. I mean, they can't defend this stuff. We spent 8 years with things that they can't defend.
Yeah.
They just can't. They'll make up stuff, and just like Cabria pointed out, and and Ange pointed out, and so many of us point out that, and Takesha's, they just, they never address our points, and they just pull something else out because they can't. That's the thing. It's indefensible stuff.
Yeah.
And they're aware of it, and they don't care because for them it's because we get it all the time. They'll come up, we won.
Yeah.
You got 4 days. It's like you have 4 days too. We're not. These are not football teams.
Bingo.
We are all eggs in a basket. All
Bingo.
kinds of different colored eggs, spotted eggs. All this stuff, right?
W. Shay in the chat. Tell these people, Shay, because they say they don't care about what you're saying, but deep down in their heart, we know what they do at nighttime. They cry because of the comments that people leave on their profiles, that reveal they are basically in a lot of trouble. A lot of you Trump supporters, what Shay is ultimately saying is you're in a lot of deep trouble, and we're not going to be able to help you.
We're all in it together, and the only thing we can do is fight to get some power back. That's the only thing we can do. I'm hoping that those that did their little protest votes and stuff like that because of the Palestinian situation, or you just couldn't vote for a woman, or you didn't like the border stuff, whatever your issues were, you're now in this basket with all of us together. So enough is enough. We're aware that he's going to be our president. We get it. But I think what upsets them the most, Zeus, is that we're not upset about it.
Nope.
We didn't cause a riot. We're not out there protesting. We're not on here screaming and crying because they were just so excited to see us crying.
Yeah. And they didn't get that.
No, because we're adults. We understand. We win some, we lose some. But at the end of the day, we're not football teams. We are all Americans here. Mm-hmm. We all have to pay the same taxes, different levels, of course. We all have to live within this country. And so whatever is coming down through him, we're all affected, right?
Yep.
And of course, we all wish him well. I want him to be not the person I predict him to be.
Well, you put W in front of the L, but I put H in front of it, so I wish him hell. But it is what it is. It's your, we can do it both ways, right? Well, hell, go together, and that's what he needs right now. Because I really do believe he needs to be rehabilitated in order for things to get back on the track. And I just. Because that's how accountability works, right?
Well, it's not him. It's the people that believe, like, what's his Operation Exposed?
He was up here defending him.
It's people like him that get caught into the image of Trump without understanding who Trump is.
This image right there?
This. He's not a politician. He's not into it for himself. Did he literally say that?
And that's why I like letting them talk, because when they talk, they give you so much to pick from. It's like being in a kid in a candy store. You're like, oh my, you really said that. You really believe Donald Trump doesn't care about himself? Wow.
I mean, he's a young man. That's the thing. This election really got to young men in this country. White, black, doesn't matter. Hispanic, doesn't matter. It really got to the young men. And I really think they're just looking for this strong man and believe that he is that. He's not. This is a man that took a situation, a possible unaliving, and turned it into propaganda instantly. His instinct was to turn it into a show. He is. He's a showman. He's that guy in the top hat in the middle of the circus ring. He's that guy. That's who he is. Intrinsically. That's who he is.
Yeah.
And he is in it for himself. Do you understand how much power it is to be president of the United States, Operation Exposed? Of course he's going to fight tooth and nail to get there. Nothing to do with your taxes or anything he wants to do for you.
Well,
He
I
had
think
so many deals in the hopper when he got booted out. That's why he was so angry.
Let me ask you a question, Shay, and I need you to be very, very serious before we get off of this, because I do got to get up out of here.
Yes, I know.
If you were facing a situation where you could potentially spend the rest of your natural life in prison, and the only way out was for you to run to be the president of the United States,
That part.
would you run to be president?
100%.
Well, so you're looking out for yourself?
Always.
Oh,
Yeah.
see that part. Mark Brown, did you hear that?
It's
Operation Expose. He did it for
power.
himself.
They all want the power. Let's
That's
be
what I want.
honest.
Yeah.
They all want the power. That is a job that I think anybody that wants is a nutcase. I mean, it is a job that is hard. You can't do anything right. You do everything
Run,
wrong.
baby, run.
Your family's wrecked over the coals. You know,
Yeah.
it is not a job. And that's why we don't get real decent candidates because, you know, I remember when Colin Powell was asked to run, right? One of the most decent men on the planet. And he said, no, because I don't want my family dragged through the mud.
Yeah.
We don't get great people because it is a job that you have to have this bit of narcissism, this bit of want for power and arrogance
Yep.
in order to do that job.
Yeah.
You know? And it is the truth of the fact. But, you know, in the end of the day, no, he's in it for himself. You're going to see all kinds of deals for the Trump organization. You're going to see all these billionaires in his cabinet. You're going to see it. And it is what it is. We can do all we can do without you getting caught up in the shenanigans.
All
and,
right.
and thinking that you're on this winning team and you're only going to vote for your team because you're convinced that the other team is whatever. And it's really, really sad. But anyway, that's what it is. So,
All right. Well,
yeah.
listen, Shay,
All right.
I got to get up out of here, but
British John, that was funny as heck. That was some funny stuff.
well, listen, it's dark humor, but I get it. W. Shay in the chat, no lies detected.
I love you guys.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, listen, it is now that time for Zeus to get up out of here. What an incredible and amazing show. You all deserve a round of applause, especially if you survive. Mark Brown, conservative Democrat, Tiny Tank Top Tim Tom, knock it off. You are all vassals of transgression, all right? And that gets me to the next part. You know what we got to do? We got to give one last round of booze and shame. And this goes out to all of the Zeus haters out there. And these are not just my haters, but these are also your haters. They come on to this show every single day, and they don't add, they take away from it. These people are living somewhere in this country in a dark, dangerous, desperate place. Dark, dangerous, desperate. That's 3 Ds. 3D. They're 3D. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a huge round of booze and shame. What a show!
Silence, you MAGA Damon.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, take care and stay safe out there in those TikTok streets. Don't do nothing I wouldn't do. You know what time it is. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. You know what we gotta do. Let's go. Y'all have a great rest of your morning. What a show, ladies and gentlemen. Woo, let's go. Great job, everyone. W Heaven in the chat. I see you, Tiffany, for the people. I see you, Tiffany. All right. Janice, I see you. What a show. What a show. We kept it clean, right? We kept it real clean. Nobody was hitting below the belt. And we got the truth out there, ladies and gentlemen. So listen, if you're really seriously concerned about those wildfires out here in California, do your research. And don't be blaming people. Lady Rima, thank you so much. Alter Ego, thank you so much. Conservative Democrat, you're not winning a thing. All right. Thank you, Alter. You're not winning a thing, conservative Democrat. You're winning high egg prices, high groceries, high PlayStation 5s, high credit card interest, high rent, high interest rates, high auto loans. If you consider that winning, you Trump supporter, something is truly wrong with you. You gotta be able to do this and be able to connect those dots. Yeah. W and thank you, and hey, Mark Brown. I see you in my comment section on all of my videos. Knock it off. If you do not have anything to say that helps promote democracy and advocates uniting this country, then just keep it to yourself. Because nobody wants to hear your thoughts. They want to hear my thoughts, all right? Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And don't worry, we'll take care of that. We'll baby drill. We'll lower your taxes, all right? And we'll pay off some debt. But what you got to do is you got to get out of that cult, all right? You got to drill, baby, drill. I see you, Q-Dog. My man. Thank you, Ange. Get rid of that trash. I appreciate that. Nobody wants to see any of that Russian nastiness at the time. Oh, my gosh. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get out of here.
So much money, we're going to pay down our debt.
W,
We're
Ange.
going to lower your taxes.
We got to get out of here.
Insane asylums. You know, they go crazy when I say.
Where you at, Craig?
The late, great Hannibal Lecter. Drill, baby, drill. We're going to frack. Drill, there's a frack.
Hey, Camara! Woo! My sister, thank you. Oh my God. Let's go. Yeah. She said I like fracking very much. Look, they always go back to what they want. That's a clever line. They always go back to what they want. That's deep right there, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to end that. And we will frack, and drill, baby, drill. Hey! Right, Tiffany? That's deep. So much money, we're going to pay down our debt. We're going to lower your taxes. Hey, you know they go crazy when I say the late great Hannibal. Drill, baby, drill. We're gonna frack. Drill, baby, drill like it's Hannibal Lecter. Where my thugs at? Cinch W, thank you for the galaxy. Where my thugs at back there? Y'all know what we supposed to be doing. One hand with it.
Insane asylums.
Hey.
You know, they go crazy when I say the late, great Hannibal Lecter.
You do?
Okay, they say, why would he mention Hannibal Lecter?
Why would he do that?
They're going to lower your taxes. Deep, insane asylums. You know, they go crazy when I say
the late, great Hannibal.
Drill.
Hey, let's go, Tiffany, for the people. Let's go. You know they go crazy when I say the late great Hannibal. Drill, baby, drill. Hey. Drill, baby, drill like it's Hannibal Lecter time. We're gonna lower your taxes. Deep insane asylum. You know they go crazy when I say the late great Hannibal. Right, Q-Dog?
Drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill.
We're gonna drill, baby, drill. We're gonna drill like it's Hannibal Lecter time.
Drill, baby, drill like it's Hannibal Lecter time. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all go have a great rest of your morning. I gotta get up out of here. Take care. Stay safe out there in those TikTok streets. Don't do nothing I wouldn't do. All right, I'm out of here.